battlefield well known to the warriors, dust rises with the fighting shouts of the young man, now with white hair, as he demonstrates his overflowing strength against an enemy who has pushed him to break all his limits. Gohan and Piccolo are engaging in the fiercest battle they've ever had against a familiar foe, Cell Max. But this time, Cell Max exudes overwhelming power and the warriors are exhausted. This can't be. My Makan Kusapo was destroyed by his energy blast. The air of the battle fills with tension and despair as Gohan observes his surroundings. The devastation is like a cruel joke, a reminder of what's at stake. Piccolo, breathing heavily, casts a look of determination.
Gohan, don't give up. We have to find a way to stop him.
With an ear-splitting roar, Cell Max charges at them, his massive body glowing with dark energy. Gohan's eyes widen as he watches the monster approaching, intent on ending their lives. Kamehameha! A powerful energy wave surges from Gohan's hands, but Cell Max, with his savage, ruthless grin, raises his hand and deflects the attack with an energy blast that impacts the ground, creating an explosion that shakes the landscape.
I won't let you win so easily, Cell Max.
With swift movements, Piccolo unleashes a flurry of rapid attacks, each blow resonating with the determination of a warrior fighting for his life. But Cell Max, in his uncontrolled rage, manages to evade and counterattack with unmatched ferocity. Piccolo, watch out! With a sudden move, Cell Max delivers a punch to Piccolo's abdomen, sending him flying through the air. Piccolo's body crashes against the ground with a dull thud. Gohan feels his heart stop for an instant. No! Piccolo! Piccolo struggles to stand, but the disadvantage is overwhelming. Gohan feels anger and helplessness boiling within him, and he unleashes another attack with energy that seems ready to explode. Cell Max laughs, a laugh full of malice and provocation. He raises his hand and launches a massive attack that envelops Gohan in a cloud of energy. Makan Sapo! The attack is deflected, and Gohan falls to his knees, feeling the crushing weight of defeat. Cell Max laughs as if he knew all along what would happen. Out of breath and with despair taking over, Gohan feels his strength sipping away. This can't be the end. Cell Max lunges at him, his mouth open in a grotesque grin. The last thing Gohan sees is the monster descending upon him as darkness envelops him and silence fills the battlefield. In the chaos, Piccolo stands up in his orange form, his determination blazing, fueling every fiber of his being. The pain of losing Gohan drives him to rise, fixing his gaze on Cell Max, who basks in his victory.
No, you won't get away with this, Cell Max!
With a terrifying roar, Cell Max lunges at Piccolo, unleashing a torrent of devastating energy. The impact shakes the air like a powerful thunderclap. Piccolo counters with a rapid series of punches, each hit laced with unpredictable fury. But Cell, in his irrational state, anticipates his opponent's moves.
This is for Gohan!
Piccolo fists connect with the monster, but he starts to feel fatigued. Cell Max, laughing at the assault, lands a powerful punch on Piccolo's side, sending him flying several meters away. With a horrific move, Cell Max approaches the fallen warrior and traps him in his tail. Despite his desperate attempts to escape, Piccolo cannot break free from the deadly grip.
No! This can't be the end!
But with a savage move, Cell Max devours Piccolo, absorbing his essence, and lets him fall like an empty shell. The air turns deafening, and in the shadows, Piccolo's energy fades away. On Beerus Planet, where the atmosphere hums with the energy of intense training, Goku and Vegeta spar under the watchful eyes of Whis and the God of Destruction himself. Flows and bursts of energy fill the air as the two Saiyans, in their most powerful forms, push themselves to the limits of their abilities. My Saiyans, you really have pushed past your limits, but don't you feel like there's something still missing? It's not enough. If you really think you're ready, prove it with more than just brute power. Suddenly, a chill runs through both Saiyans. Goku stops abruptly, a look of concern in his eyes. Vegeta, do you feel that? It's a dark energy, and it's massive.
Of course I feel it. It's impossible to ignore. It's Gohan and Piccolo. Their energies are fading.
We can't waste any time! Whis, take us to Earth now! As you wish. A curtain of energy envelops them, and Whis teleports them directly to Earth. Upon arriving to Earth, a dark and dense aura covers the atmosphere. Cell Max's energy fills every corner, and the ground trembles under his presence. On the horizon, the reconfigured android reveals his new form. His body has reached a lethal perfection, and although his appearance is more human, his destructive instinct has not diminished. It's him! He's the one who absorbed Gohan and Piccolo!
We can't let him get away with this!
Goku and Vegeta exchange glances, and a roar of power erupts from both. The glow of their transformation illuminates the battlefield. Ultra Instinct!
Ultra Ego!
Both launch into combat in perfect sync, Goku moving with fluidity and precision, dodging Cell Max's attacks, while Vegeta attacks with overwhelming force. Every strike and technique reverberates across the battlefield, showcasing their maximum power. Kamehameha! A blue energy ray hits Cell Max's torso, the explosion lights up the field, but the monster laughs, quickly regenerating the damage.
Final Flash!
Vegeta attack strikes Cell Max, who, though wounded, shows his adaptability. His body glows with a dark energy that seems to absorb any damage. Vegeta, we need to combine our powers!
Let's do it!
Both Saiyans prepare, channeling their power into a combined attack. Kamehameha!
Final Flash!
The combined energies launch towards Cell Max, creating a devastating attack that consumes the battlefield in a blinding flash. But when the light fades, Cell Max remains standing, radiating an aura of pure hatred. With a deafening roar, Cell Max summons a dark energy and unleashes it upon Goku and Vegeta. Unable to escape, they're consumed by the explosion, erased from existence, and everything turns dark. In the midst of nothingness, Goku and Vegeta float in the gloom. No sound, no sensation, only the void. A gentle, resonant voice pierces the darkness. Not all is lost, warriors. This is not your end. You will have a second chance to rewrite your fate, but you must seize it. Light begins to surround them, and Goku and Vegeta open their eyes, searching for the source of the voice. Who are you?
What does this mean?
The voice continues, the glow enveloping them. I am the echo of those who fell before you, those who fought for the light. The battle does not end here. You must return and face Cell Max once more. But to do so, you must find an even greater power. A flash surrounds them, and the scene shifts to a distant memory. Suddenly, Goku and Vegeta find themselves in an incubation chamber on planet Vegeta, each inside a capsule. They are only babies, their small bodies floating in liquid, but their minds are filled with memories, aware of who they are and the purpose that awaits them. What? This is planet Vegeta? Why are we here?
This must be some kind of test. They expect us to start from scratch? Ridiculous!
In their small capsules, both warriors feel helpless, but the mysterious voice returns, speaking only in their minds. Do not fear. This is the beginning. Only from your roots will you find the strength you need to surpass Cell Max. Remember what you have learned, and return to your destiny when the time is right. In the silent incubation room, the Saiyan caretakers check the power levels of the future warriors. One of them, a middle-aged Saiyan, advances with a routine expression, inspecting each capsule. His gaze first falls on Broly's capsule, the son of the warrior Paragus, and he raises an eyebrow upon seeing the enormous power level. This boy, his power, it's immense. I've never seen anything like this. But when he checks the capsules next to Broly, where Goku and Vegeta are, the caretaker's face changes to a mix of shock and fear. He watches the numbers on the monitor, and his expression shifts entirely.
It can't be! The son of King Vegeta and the son of Bardock! Their power levels surpass any expectation!
Unable to contain his nerves, the caretaker runs toward King Vegeta's throne room, leaving the babies in their capsules. King Vegeta sits on his throne, contemplating the preparations to strengthen the Saiyan Empire, and his alliance with the Emperor of the Universe, Frieza. Suddenly, the doors to the chamber swing open, and the caretaker, breathless, kneels hastily before him.
What is the meaning of this intrusion?
Your Majesty, I must inform you,
Your son, Prince Vegeta, and the son of a low-class warrior, Bardock, both have reached unprecedented power levels. They could even surpass any Saiyan recorded to date. Upon hearing those words, King Vegeta stands, his gaze filled with surprise and pride. His lips curl into a smile. Are you certain of this? My son, the Prince of all Saiyans, and that Kakarot, Bardock's son? Yes, Your Majesty. The power levels surpass those of any Saiyan at birth. I believe it is a sign of greatness for our empire. King Vegeta pauses, nodding slowly as his pride for his own son overshadows any other consideration. I want to see this with my own eyes. Summon Bardock as well. We have matters to discuss. King Vegeta strides into the incubation room, flanked by an elite Saiyan guard. His heavy footsteps echo through the place as he approaches the pods. The caretaker, trembling, activates the monitors displaying the infant's energy levels. Incredible! Vegeta, my son, is destined for greatness. And that Kakarot. How can the son of a low-class warrior possess such a high power level? Just then, Bardock, accompanied by 2 soldiers, enters the room. The Saiyan with unruly hair and a steady gaze looks at King Vegeta with a mix of respect and mistrust. Bardock, it seems your son, Kakarot, is quite the prodigy. I must admit, it's surprising for someone of your lineage. My son has the blood of a warrior. Class doesn't matter, Majesty. Saiyans are made to fight, to push beyond limits. We'll see how far your son goes. But remember, Bardock, that his fate will not be the same as my son's. Vegeta will be the future king. He is destined to be the ultimate force of the Saiyan Empire. Bardock nods, remaining calm, but his gaze hardens. He looks at his son Kakarot in the capsule, a spark of pride in his eyes. Kakarot, I don't know what your destiny will be, but it seems you have a purpose beyond just serving under Frieza. Years have passed since that fateful day when they awakened in their first moments of consciousness after being defeated by a perfect enemy. Now, Goku and Vegeta, both with memories and powers from their past lives, have grown into young warriors determined to change the fate of their people and the universe. Their first target, the tyrant who would soon destroy their home. King Vegeta pauses, nodding slowly as his pride for his own son overshadows any other consideration. I want to see this with my own eyes. Summon Bardock as well. We have matters to discuss. King Vegeta strides into the incubation room, flanked by an elite Saiyan guard. His heavy footsteps echo through the space as he approaches the capsules. The caretaker, trembling, activates the monitors displaying the infant's power levels. Incredible! Vegeta, my son, is destined for greatness! And that Kakarot. How can the son of a low-class warrior possess such a high power level? Just then, Bardock, accompanied by 2 soldiers, enters the room. The Saiyans with unruly hair and a steady gaze look at King Vegeta with a mix of respect and mistrust. Bardock, it seems your son, Kakarot, is quite the prodigy. I must admit, it's surprising for someone of your lineage. My son has the blood of a warrior. Class doesn't matter, Majesty. Saiyans are made to fight, to push beyond limits. We'll see how far your son goes. But remember, Bardock, that his fate will not be the same as my son's. Vegeta will be the future king. He is destined to be the ultimate force of the Saiyan Empire. Bardock nods, remaining calm, but his gaze hardens. He looks at his son Kakarot in the capsule, a spark of pride in his eyes. Kakarot, I don't know what your destiny will be, but it seems you have a purpose beyond just serving under Frieza. Years have passed since that fateful day when they awakened in their first moments of consciousness after being defeated by a perfect enemy. Now, Goku and Vegeta, both with memories and powers from their past lives, have grown into young warriors determined to change the fate of their people and the universe. Their first target, the tyrant who would soon destroy their home. In the middle of the training grounds, Goku and Vegeta exchange swift, precise blows, each testing the other's strength and reflexes. Sweat gleams on their foreheads, and their faces reveal the seriousness of a training that pushes them beyond what their bodies can withstand. Vegeta, you're right. This training is the only thing that'll keep us strong. But do you really think we can do something?
we still have kids' bodies.
We can't wait, Kakarot! If things unfold like in our past lives, Frieza will destroy this planet and our entire race. We don't have much time.
Goku nods, determination sparking in his eyes as he exchanges a look with Vegeta.
Yeah, but we're still so small. Frieza is monstrously powerful. We know that better than anyone. That's why, Kakarot, we have to reach the Super Saiyan state as soon as possible. Only that power can give us a chance to finish him. Our size doesn't matter now. Power is everything.
Goku clenches his fists, inspired by Vegeta's words. Both take fighting stances once more, resolved to surpass their limits, aware that time is running out.
Then let's train, Vegeta. I won't let you reach Super Saiyan first.
We'll see, Kakarot. Frieza won't have any idea what's coming.
The terrain around them is torn apart, and their bodies glow as an intense aura of power begins to radiate from them. Their muscles tremble, and their eyes reflect a mix of fury and exhilaration. We can't stop here, Kakarot. If we're going to face Frieza, we have to reach a power he's never seen. The Super Saiyan. You're right, Vegeta. It's now or never.
Suddenly, a surge of pure energy is unleashed. The ground cracks beneath their feet, forming fissures that spread across the battlefield. The dark skies begin to swirl, and golden thunder crashes down around them. Both warriors close their eyes, concentrating deeply. Their bodies begin to tremble as their hearts beat in unison. Their auras intertwine, merging into a single golden sphere of energy that begins to expand. With a shattering cry, the power within them explodes. The golden aura engulfs them, lifting them into the air as their bodies fill with pure energy. Their black hair turns blonde, and a blinding flash spreads out, making them shine like miniature suns. The surrounding mountains begin to shake and fracture, unable to withstand the immensity of their power. Both warriors are surrounded by such an intense golden flame that even the sky seems to yield, turning a radiant shade of gold. Thunder crashes in a storm of pure energy, casting flashes across their bodies, which have reached the majesty of Super Saiyan. But this isn't enough. As if their hearts know that the threat of Frieza requires something greater, their power surges even higher. The first transformation gives way to a second, fiercer state. Their muscles expand, and the golden glow intensifies, stretching to the horizon. Standing face to face, their eyes meet, and confident smiles appear on their faces.
Vegeta! We did it! That was easier than the first time I achieved it. If my body were a bit older, I'm sure I could access Ultra Instinct already. This is the true power of the Saiyans! This time, Frieza will be the one who fears us!
The air around them still vibrates, and the sky rumbles in response. The power of the Super Saiyan has been achieved, and their story is about to change forever. In the distance, hidden in the shadows of a mountain overlooking the training grounds, Captain Ginyu, a loyal member of Frieza's elite squad, watches the scene with a mix of awe and terror. He had been sent by Frieza to planet Vegeta upon hearing rumors of the legendary Super Saiyan. His scouter emits a rapid series of chaotic beeps, a sign that it has detected power levels beyond all measure.
This can't be! It's the legend of the Super Saiyan is real!
He watches Goku and Vegeta transformed, their bodies surrounded by an intense golden aura that illuminates the battlefield. The energy unleashed by these young Saiyans has shaken the entire planet, and Ginyu can barely keep his hands from trembling as he grips his communicator.
If Frieza doesn't find out about this immediately, these two could... I have to warn him!
With trembling fingers, he activates the communicator and contacts Frieza. The screen reveals the imposing face of his leader, who looks at Ginyu with impatience.
What is it, Captain Ginyu? Do not disturb me unless it's something truly important. Lord Frieza, I'm afraid the legend of the Super Saiyan is true. I'm on planet Vegeta, and I've witnessed something you must see. 2 young Saiyans, one of them Prince Vegeta, have reached a level of power beyond anything we've recorded before.
Frieza's expression changes immediately. His eyes narrow, and his smile turns into a look of cold contempt.
So they've finally emerged. I cannot allow this threat to continue growing, not while I have the power to snuff it out. Should we eliminate them, my lord? I am prepared to act immediately. No, Captain Ginyu. This is a matter that requires my personal intervention. Prepare yourself. I will arrive on planet Vegeta shortly. I want to see with my own eyes what these so-called legendary warriors have to offer.
Ginyu nods fearfully, and the transmission ends. In the distance, Goku and Vegeta continue training, still enveloped in the golden radiance of their transformations. Ginyu watches the scene for a moment longer before retreating quickly to prepare for his master's arrival. Meanwhile, the outer space hums with the sound of a ship moving at a deadly speed. Frieza has set his course for planet Vegeta, determined to wipe out any threat to his empire, no matter how legendary it may be. Twilight finally reaches Goku and Vegeta, the sunset marking the end of the day with a new yet familiar transformation for them. Their auras slowly fade until they return to their base state, and their hair, once blonde, turns back to black as usual. I think with that, we've reached our limit. For now. But we can't relax. If we're truly destined to face Frieza, we need to be ready at any moment. Come on, it's time to head back home and see how things are progressing. Both Saiyans start to leave, unaware of the figure stalking them from the shadows. Ginyu, still hidden, watches every move of the young warriors, a cunning smirk on his face. His scouter continues emitting soft beeps, recording both of their power levels. Interesting. Frieza will have much to observe when he arrives. These two are more dangerous than I thought. They're supposed to be exhausted, but even so, their power remains high. With a quick gesture, Ginyu activates his communicator and murmurs an update to Frieza's base. But rather than act, he decides to keep his distance, shadowing Goku and waiting for the exact moment to notify his master. Meanwhile, in the vast void of space, Frieza's ship cuts through the cosmos like a sharp scythe, drawing ever closer to planet Vegeta. Inside, Frieza leans back on his throne, a glimmer of amusement and anticipation in his eyes. Soon, the legend of the Super Saiyan will be nothing but a forgotten myth, and I will be the one to ensure it. King Vegeta watches with pride as his son crosses the threshold of the throne room, having displayed exceptional abilities from an early age. The majesty of the throne hall is illuminated by the planet's last rays of sun, filtering through the windows as Vegeta, still young but with a presence that commands respect, stands beside his father. You are the crown jewel of the Saiyan race, my son. You are the embodiment of a force even the gods have not witnessed. I know, father, and I won't let you down. My power will go beyond anything you can imagine. I expect no less from you. You and that boy, Kakarot. Together, you could be the key to universal domination. But remember, in the path of power, your only loyalty must be to the Saiyan throne. Vegeta nods, accepting the weight of this lineage. The king places a hand on his son's shoulder, and they share a moment of understanding. Vegeta's greatness stands as a banner for the future of his race. But though the young prince enjoys his current life, he knows he has a destiny to fulfill, for the sake of his former comrades on Earth. They haven't met yet, but sooner or later, they will. Meanwhile, in a more humble district of the planet, Goku enjoys an evening at his family's simple yet warm residence. Bardock and Guin's small home glows with an atmosphere of affection. Guin prepares a simple meal while Raditz, Goku's older brother, enters the room, exuding the excitement and hint of arrogance typical of young Saiyans looking for a fight.
Come on, Kakarot. Keep eating. You'll need your strength to keep training.
Of course, Mom. Thanks! You know, you've got a lot of potential, Kakarot. I never imagined you'd develop it so quickly. Not as quickly as me. Tomorrow I'm heading off on a mission beyond the planet. Soon I'll make a name for myself in Frieza's army.
Raditz, be careful out there. The galaxy is full of threats, and not everyone who serves Frieza does so willingly.
Don't worry, Mother. A Saiyan has nothing to fear.
You really are strong, brother.
Maybe one day you'll be as strong as me, though I doubt you'll reach my level. Bardock watches his sons with a gleam in his eyes, hiding a mix of pride and concern. Although he's an experienced warrior, a feeling of impending darkness seems to creep in on him. A combat ship lands on the horizon, its shadow casting an ominous forewarning over the royal palace. As it descends, Frieza appears alone, without an escort, displaying an intimidating confidence. He advances with measured, slow steps, as if each one heralds a terrifying prelude. Inside the palace, King Vegeta receives word of Frieza's arrival and immediately prepares to meet him. King Vegeta stands in the center of the hall, accompanied by a pair of guards. His eyes sparkle with intrigue and alertness as he tries to discern the reason for this unexpected visit. Frieza enters, walking unhurriedly, with a cold smile on his face.
Lord Frieza! It is an honor to receive you on our planet. To what do we owe this unexpected visit?
My dear King Vegeta, the honor is all mine. I apologize for not announcing my arrival beforehand, but something of utmost importance has arisen, and I thought it best to address it in person.
Something important, you say? May I ask what it is about?
I have received reports of a fascinating legend, one that speaks of a prodigious warrior, a Super Saiyan, and it seems that this legend has begun to take shape.
King Vegeta remains silent, attempting not to reveal his thoughts, though his eyes reflect the blend of pride and fear he feels. Frieza walks slowly around him, observing every reaction. They're just rumors, my lord. Old stories without foundation. We Saiyans are powerful. It's true, but to speak of a legend...
Oh, King Vegeta, no need to pretend. I'm not here to accuse. In fact, I'm only here to supervise, nothing more. And of course, to get a little sample of Saiyan potential, particularly from the young prince, your heir.
My son? Why are you interested in him?
Just simple curiosity, of course. I've heard his potential is extraordinary, even more than I would have expected for someone his age. Fascinating, isn't it?
The tension in the room is palpable. Frieza smiles, satisfied with the uncertainty he has sown. King Vegeta remains silent for a moment, weighing how to respond to the power dominating his race. My lord, Prince Vegeta is the pride of our race, a born warrior. He's still young, but I have no doubt that he will become the strongest warrior of all Saiyans.
I expected nothing less, King Vegeta. Nothing less.
Frieza takes a few more steps, admiring the walls decorated with Saiyan insignias and symbols of their race's history. He appears distracted, but in his mind, the plan is advancing, as cold and calculated as his words.
Then I'd like a tour. I want to see this Saiyan potential firsthand. Let's start with the prince, if you don't mind.
As you wish, Lord Frieza. Follow me. King Vegeta nods to the guards, who step aside. With no other option but to obey, he begins to lead Frieza toward the quarters where young Vegeta is training. As they walk, the king hides his fury behind a cold mask, knowing that Frieza's presence on his planet is a direct threat, one he cannot ignore. On the other side of the planet, Goku, Bardock, Guin, and Raditz are seated around the table, sharing a rare and peaceful family dinner. Bardock observes his family with a slight smile, while Guin fills the plates and Raditz eats enthusiastically. Goku, still focused on his training, takes each bite with the excitement typical of a young Saiyan. Suddenly, the calm is interrupted by an explosion at the door. The imposing figure of Captain Ginyu bursts into the house, his presence charged with menace and violence.
What? What's happening?
Captain Ginyu? Here? Before anyone can react, Ginyu raises a hand, firing a powerful ki blast directly at Goku. Goku is about to be hit, but Bardock pushes him aside and quickly deflects the attack. What the hell do you think you're doing, Captain Ginyu?
Do you really think I'm unaware, Bardock? Frieza doesn't need another Saiyan threat running around, especially not two.
Bardock, I won't let him hurt us.
I've come to end this before the legend becomes reality. You're one of them, aren't you, kid?
I don't know what you're talking about, but I won't let you hurt my family. Ginyu fires another attack at Goku, but this time Bardock intercepts with a punch, forcing the captain back. The two stare intensely at each other, Bardock with a protective gaze, determined not to let anything happen to his family, and Ginyu with an arrogant smile. Take your mother and run, now!
Oh, you're not going anywhere! My mission is simple. Eliminate any Saiyan threat before it becomes a problem for Lord Frieza.
Dad, why is Captain Ginyu attacking us? There's no time for explanations, Raditz. Take care of your mother and brother. Guin, her face full of worry, grabs Goku and Raditz, pulling them toward the back door. However, before they can escape, Ginyu fires a blast of energy at them. Without hesitation, Bardock jumps in between them to shield them, taking the hit on his shoulder and barely managing to stay on his feet.
How touching, Bardock! But I'm afraid that won't be enough to stop me!
You can try whatever you want, Ginyu, but let me warn you, Saiyans aren't so easy to wipe out. Bardock prepares to attack, his ki flaring around him.
Ginyu smiles, accepting the challenge. The small cabin is about to become a battlefield as Bardock, with the gaze of a father willing to risk everything, faces Captain Ginyu in a fight that will decide his family's fate. Goku finds himself being pulled along by Guin as Raditz desperately tries to open the back door. However, Goku's inner voice rings out strong and intense, filled with emotions he's only beginning to understand. If only I had more strength. If I weren't just a kid, I could face that monster. I could help my father. This time is different. I have a father, a true warrior who doesn't run away, who's willing to protect all of us. I can't stand back while he risks it all. Goku clenches his fist, feeling a mixture of helplessness and respect as he watches his father confront Ginyu. Bardock, with a determined expression, stands firmly in front of Ginyu, his ki surrounding him like a tempest. Is that all you've got, Bardock? Defending your family? Pathetic! Saiyans are warriors, not babysitters! You know nothing about what it means to be a true warrior, Ginyu. A true warrior fights to protect what he loves, even if it means facing death. Ginyu sneers with contempt, launching himself at Bardock with a barrage of punches. Bardock dodges the first few, his movement steady and calculated, but Ginyu's strength gradually pushes him back. Ginyu is relentless, delivering attacks with brutal precision, while Bardock responds with a combination of speed and strength that only a Saiyan warrior can muster. The fight intensifies, the walls of the cabin trembling with each clash of ki and explosions echoing in the air. Ginyu, with a sadistic grin, lands a powerful blow that Bardock barely manages to block, pushing him back as his feet scrape the ground. Dad! Bardock steadies himself, breathing heavily, but with a look that defies death itself. His body is covered in scrapes and wounds, yet his eyes show no hint of surrender. Is that all, Bardock? Is this the great warrior who supposedly can stand up to me? If you think that's all I have, Ginyu, then you know nothing about Saiyans. You don't know what we're capable of when we fight for those we love. With a roar of fury, Bardock summons all the power he can, his aura expanding, creating a gust of wind around him. Ginyu watches with a mixture of surprise and disbelief, but he readies himself for the next attack. Goku's eyes, full of awe and admiration, observe his father with a deep resolve forming within him. The battle continues, each strike echoing the unbreakable will of Bardock. But Ginyu, with his brutality and power, keeps pressing on, and Bardock, though determined, starts to show signs of wear. The cabin is on the brink of collapse, and each member of the Saiyan family watches, feeling the gravity of this moment. The fight grows more intense, and the power gap becomes clear. Bardock is hurt, panting with each breath, his movement slower, but his eyes haven't lost their determination. Across from him, Ginyu observes with a cruel smile, savoring his dominance in the battle. Enough, Bardock! You're just another insect, an insignificant obstacle in Lord Frieza's path. Do you really think you stand a chance? Maybe I'm not strong enough, but I'm a Saiyan, and if this is my last fight, I'll make sure you remember it. Bardock launches a final attack, but Ginyu evades it effortlessly, countering with a lethal blow. Ginyu's speed surpasses Bardock's weakened defenses, and he barely manages to stay on his feet. In a final moment, Ginyu drives his fist through Bardock's torso in a merciless strike, his arm piercing the Saiyan warrior. The family watches in chilling silence. Guin lets out a strangled cry, while Raditz stumbles back, unable to comprehend what's happening. Bardock, however, remains standing, his body trembling as a line of blood drips from his lips, but his expression remains firm, defiant. Look where your honor has led you, Bardock. If I know anything, it's that the Saiyan legacy doesn't die so easily. With those words, Bardock collapses to the ground, his energy fading. The scene is one of overwhelming stillness, but amidst the silence, a scream echoes, a piercing cry that cuts through the air. Dead! Suddenly, an explosion of energy surrounds Goku, his body trembling as his fists clench so tightly that his veins become visible. His ki begins to rise at a dizzying speed, and a golden glow bursts from his body. The ground vibrates beneath him, and a storm of energy radiates from the young Saiyan. What? What is happening? Goku's eyes turn blue, his hair standing on end, taking on a brilliant golden hue. A powerful aura envelops him, blazing with an uncontrollable fury. I'll never forgive you! Never! The Super Saiyan transformation is complete. Goku's energy is overwhelming, surpassing any limit Ginyu has ever felt before. The captain retreats, shocked by the unleashed power before him. Goku glares at him with fury and pain, his small figure now emanating an imposing and terrifying aura. What are you? Goku doesn't respond. With staggering speed, he launches himself at Ginyu, striking with a force that the captain can barely process. Goku hits again and again with the precision and brutality of a warrior driven to the edge of his grief. Still transformed as a Super Saiyan, Goku breathes deeply, controlling the rage that consumes him. The young warrior keeps his gaze fixed on Ginyu, who stumbles, immobilized by pain and terror. For the first time in his life, Ginyu feels a threat beyond his control. No, this can't be happening! Goku, with a determined and pained expression, slowly raises his hands, positioning them for his most powerful technique. The golden energy around him begins to swirl, enveloping his palms, and a sky-blue sphere starts to form, growing with an intensity that lights up the area. His voice trembles with anger. Kame! Ginyu, still in shock, can barely react, watching as Goku's energy builds, its intensity filling the air with an overwhelming pressure. Guin and Raditz from the ground stare in awe at Goku's power as the glow from his technique lights up the area like daylight. Ah! With a scream of pure fury and sorrow, Goku fires the Kamehameha. The energy blast is monumental, tearing through the air in a torrent of blue that races toward Ginyu with devastating speed. Ginyu, paralyzed, barely manages to raise his hands in a desperate attempt to defend himself, but it's futile. The Kamehameha engulfs him, and his scream of terror is swallowed by the energy. The beam pierces through his body, disintegrating him completely. The Kamehameha engulfs him, and his screams of terror is swallowed by the energy. The beam pierces through his body, disintegrating him completely. The blast keeps going, leaving a trail of light that illuminates much of the area, casting long, distorted shadows. The impact reverberates through the entire place, and when the energy finally dissipates, only a profound silence remains. Goku stands, breathing heavily, his transformation still active. Ginyu's body is gone, and the ground where he stood is now a smoking crater. Slowly, Goku closes his eyes, feeling the intensity of his own power, as the sorrow over what has happened surrounds him, calming him down. Kakarot? Goku turns to look at his mother and Raditz. Though his gaze reflects pain, there's also a solemn calm, as if he understands that he's done what was necessary to protect them. Brother, how are you so strong? Goku doesn't answer. He simply lowers his gaze, the golden aura around him starting to fade, and gradually his hair returns to its usual black color. Exhausted, he drops to his knees as Guin and Raditz rush to support him, but Goku knew this wasn't the end. If they were attacked like this, it meant Frieza at least suspected that both he and Prince Vegeta could be the legendary Super Saiyan. He felt drained, not only physically, but emotionally, yet he knew he had to get back up, not only to protect his family, but the entire planet Vegeta. Just after Goku's devastating attack, the echoes of the Kamehameha still hang in the air, and a cloud of dust rises from the crater where Ginyu met his end. Goku's family stands in shock. Guin holds her children close, while Raditz, still stunned, stares into the empty space where Ginyu had been, his face filled with confusion and fear. Why? Why would Commander Ginyu do something like this? Why did he kill our father? Goku, exhausted, breathes deeply, gathering the strength to respond. He slowly stands up, looking at his older brother with sadness as memories of his past life flash through his mind, ready to answer. Raditz, some time ago I heard that Frieza planned to destroy planet Vegeta. He'd do it to prevent the legend of the Super Saiyan from coming true. He fears our power, what Saiyans can become. Guin, her face filled with horror and anguish, grabs Goku by the shoulders, searching his eyes for a clear answer. Kakarot, does that mean that you're the legendary Super Saiyan? Goku nods slightly, his gaze calm but resolute. Yes, Mother, but I'm not the only one. Vegeta can access this transformation too. We both train to reach this power, and if a Saiyan trains hard enough, they could also achieve this form. Raditz, listening to everything with a mixture of awe and fear, falls to his knees, struggling to process what he just heard. Goku's words fill him with questions, but also with renewed hope. His younger brother, the one he'd underestimated so many times, has achieved a power he couldn't even imagine. So, this is the true strength of a Saiyan. Goku nods, taking a pause as he looks at the horizon, his face showing a maturity more fitting for an adult warrior than a child. We don't have any time to lose. Frieza might already be here, and if he sent Ginyu, and he knows about us, he'll try to end it all. Guin, still shielding her children with her body, watches Goku, who now seems much more mature, much more determined. Her young son had now become the hope for Planet Vegeta's survival.
Kakarot, what are we going to do?
Mother, I'm going to go to Prince Vegeta. Together we'll face Frieza, and we'll defeat him.
Kakarot, no, please! You're still just a child! And Frieza, he's a monster! I can't let you go! Not after losing your father! I don't want to lose you too!
Goku lowers his gaze, understanding his mother's distress. For a moment, doubt crosses his face, but it's Raditz who steps forward, placing a hand on his mother's shoulder. In an unexpectedly calm and firm voice, he speaks to her. Mother, Kakarot isn't the same as before. You saw it. That power. He won't be alone. With Prince Vegeta by his side, they have a chance. Guin, with tears in her eyes, seems torn between her emotions, but the confident look from Raditz and the determination on Goku's face finally convince her. Still trembling, she nods and lets out a sigh, trying to stay strong.
Fine. If this is what you must do, son. But please, come back.
Goku nods, his eyes showing unusual maturity. He bids his mother goodbye with a nod and turns to face Raditz. Take care of Mom, Raditz. I won't let Frieza hurt our people anymore. Raditz nods, proud of his younger brother. Goku takes a deep breath and with one last look at his family, charges energy into his feet and takes off, flying toward King Vegeta's palace, where he knows he'll find his ally for the coming battle. Meanwhile, in King Vegeta's palace, King Vegeta, walking alongside Frieza, keeps his face impassive as they make their way down the palace corridors. Frieza's steady, deliberate footsteps create an oppressive atmosphere. Frieza's words continue to fill the air, each wrapped in false admiration, loaded with barely disguised venom.
I must say, King Vegeta, the Saiyan lineage does seem to have exceptional qualities. Your son, for example, the young prince, he's so promising.
The prince is a source of pride for his people, Lord Frieza. His power is the inheritance of generations of Saiyans.
Ah, yes, power. Such a tempting thing. And tell me, King Vegeta, I ask once again, have you heard the rumors of that legend that seems to be spreading among your people? The one about the Super Saiyan? Or do you fear even mentioning it?
King Vegeta clenches his fist behind his back, hiding the nervousness that threatens to break through, but keeps his tone cold and controlled. He didn't understand why Frieza was so fixated on this old legend, or what his son had to do with it. Just ancient tales, Lord Frieza. Nothing more than stories.
Stories, yes, of course. There's always a grain of truth in stories, don't you think? But don't worry, there's nothing I can't contain.
They finally reach the vast hall where the young Prince Vegeta trains alone. Vegeta freezes when he sees Frieza. His eyes, filled with seriousness and apathy, also show a flicker of fear he tries to hide. With a disturbing smile, Frieza slowly approaches, his gaze fixed on the young prince.
So, you're the famous Saiyan prince, the pride of your race.
Young Vegeta, though frightened, stands firm, with a defiant gaze of a warrior despite his young age. King Vegeta watches, gritting his teeth, knowing that Frieza is testing his control, searching for any sign of defiance. Yes, I'm the prince, and one day I'll be the strongest of all Saiyans.
The strongest of all Saiyans, you say? How charming. I wouldn't expect anything less from a prince. But tell me, Prince, how strong do you think you can become?
King Vegeta intervenes, sensing the tension in the air, in an attempt to redirect Frieza's attention. Lord Frieza, the prince is still in training. His potential is still developing.
Oh, don't worry, King Vegeta. I'm just here to observe. There's nothing to fear. As long as that potential doesn't become a threat to us, of course.
Frieza throws one last look at Vegeta, his eyes filled with a sadistic, twisted glint, and slowly turns away, leaving the prince and his father in a tense silence. King Vegeta, aware of the danger this visit has brought, looks at his son and nods slightly, as if trying to convey a strength he can barely hold on to.
Never fear what you just saw, and never show weakness in front of him.
Frieza stops just before exiting the hall and turns back, eyeing father and son with a crooked, mocking smile. His words fall with a deliberately provocative tone, his eyes fixed on the young prince.
So, Prince Vegeta, would you suggest that Commander Ginyu is a liar?
Vegeta feels the blood freeze in his veins. His eyes widen for an instant before he can suppress his reaction. King Vegeta observes the exchange, clearly unsettled, not fully grasping Frieza's words, but sensing the growing tension.
A liar? What are you talking about, Lord Frieza?
Ah, King Vegeta, it seems your son has been engaged in little adventures beyond his duties. Perhaps he can clarify, can't you, Prince?
Young Vegeta tries to pull himself together, but he knows he's caught. Still, he lifts his head defiantly, trying to mask the fear in his eyes.
I was only training with a partner.
Oh, really? And that partner would happen to be the son of a low-class warrior, right? A certain Kakarot?
King Vegeta frowns, increasingly uneasy as the situation becomes more uncomfortable. Vegeta feels his stomach twist. Not only has he been found out, but Frieza knew everything from the start. Frieza takes a few steps closer, his gaze now sharper and his tone more menacing.
You see, little prince, when a legend begins to stir, I must intervene. I can't allow something as unsavory as a Super Saiyan to bloom within my domain.
King Vegeta finally understands the gravity of the situation, and his expression hardens as he realizes the imminent danger his son faces. His fists clench, but he knows he can't act impulsively in front of Frieza.
Lord Frieza, my son is still young, merely a warrior in training. He cannot be a threat to someone like you.
Oh, King Vegeta, always so confident. But don't worry, this is all just supervision.
Frieza gives one last menacing look at Vegeta before turning away, satisfied with the fear he had sown. The atmosphere is suffocating. King Vegeta watches his son with a mix of concern and contained anger, while Vegeta feels the weight of being exposed and vulnerable before the most feared figure in the universe. The tension in the hall is palpable, as though the air itself had frozen in anticipation of the inevitable. Suddenly, the thunderous sound of shattering glass breaks the tense calm. A figure bursts through the window, landing in the middle of the hall in a cloud of dust and flashes of light. Everyone turns their heads, shocked and bewildered. As the dust settles, Goku is revealed, his expression determined, his gaze fixed on Frieza.
Frieza plans to destroy the planet! There's no time for games or lies!
Frieza's surprise shifts to fury as he barely restrains his anger at Goku's audacity. King Vegeta, stunned, looks at the bold young Saiyan with disbelief and anger.
Kakarot! How dare you barge in like this? What do you know about Frieza's plans?
Goku doesn't take his eyes off Frieza, who has now gone from shock to utter disdain, a dangerous spark of fury in his eyes. Prince Vegeta watches Goku, surprised but also impressed by his audacity, though he can't shake his fear of Frieza's reaction.
I know you're afraid of us, Frieza, of what Saiyans can do when they achieve true power, and I know that's why you're here today.
Frieza smiles, though his eyes are venomous, as he looks down at the young Saiyan with disdain. He steps forward calmly, his hands clasped behind his back.
How touching. And how pathetic. Do you have any idea who you're talking to, brat? Do you think the fantasies of a child are enough to challenge me?
King Vegeta steps forward, furious, glaring at Goku with disapproval.
This is madness, Kakarot! We're not here to—
No, King Vegeta! If we let Frieza go through with this plan, no one here will live to tell the tale. We all know it. Frieza seems to have reached the end of his patience. His aura begins to rise, flooding the hall with a dark, intimidating power.
If you want the truth so badly, insect, why don't I give it to you now?
Frieza lets out a low, chilling laugh as his energy intensifies.
As the Prince of the Saiyans, it is my duty to protect my people, even from you, Frieza.
Goku smiles slightly, encouraged by Vegeta's bravery, and both raise their energy in unison. A wave of power ripples through the hall, shaking the walls. The air around them becomes filled with searing heat as their auras grow, their eyes reflecting the fury of an oppressed generation. King Vegeta, incredulous, steps forward, trying to maintain control over the situation. His expression is marked by a mix of anger and despair.
Stop! In this madness right now! You don't know what you're doing! You can't challenge Frieza!
But the young Saiyans don't back down. Goku and Prince Vegeta, each surrounded by a golden aura, keep their eyes fixed on Frieza, ignoring their king's command. The decision is made, and the battle is imminent. Frieza sneers, raising an eyebrow with feigned surprise and contempt.
How touching! Two insolent brats thinking they can challenge me? Do you really think your feeble powers are enough to stop me?
Prince Vegeta lets out a battle cry, his energy surging like a torrent. Goku, by his side, feels power burning in his veins, readying himself for the most decisive fight of their lives. King Vegeta steps back, unable to intervene. Now, the battle between the young Saiyans and Frieza is about to begin.
I doubt you could even stand against the elite forces of my army.
Frieza, with an arrogant smile, pulls out a small communicator and activates it, his voice resonating with a mix of impatience and mockery.
Let's keep it simple. Commander Ginyu, report immediately.
But only silence follows. Frieza's expression shifts from mockery to confusion, and finally to a shadow of fury. Goku crosses his arms, facing him with a challenging look. He's not going to respond. I defeated him, in Super Saiyan form. For a moment, Frieza shows a flicker of hesitation, but he quickly regains his composure, underestimating what he's heard. He smiles coldly, looking at them as if they were mere insects.
Do you really think your little transformation can make me back down? You could wipe out dozens of troops, and you'd still be nowhere near my level. You have no idea what you're facing.
Without another word, Goku takes a deep breath and without hesitation unleashes his energy. His hair turns golden, and his eyes take on an intense blue glow. The force of his transformation makes the palace tremble. Vegeta follows suit without delay, and the air fills with a surge of golden power that eclipses everything. The Saiyan Prince, now a Super Saiyan, emits a wild aura that resonates in every corner.
We know exactly what we're facing, Frieza. We know what we have to do, and there's no turning back.
Frieza watches, slightly surprised, but with a confident smile.
Perfect. Let's see what these Super Saiyans are made of.
King Vegeta watches, stunned. The legend he had once thought a mere myth, a tale of invincible warriors, takes form before his eyes. His son, the Saiyan Prince, is now part of that prophecy. A spark of pride mixes with a surprise, but the urgency of the situation quickly brings him back to reality. Goku, determined to protect everything he loves, charges at Frieza, his movements quick and filled with controlled fury. Vegeta, not one to be left behind, joins the attack, synchronizing with Goku in a fierce display of power. Golden flashes illuminate the palace, their energies intertwining in a desperate attempt to stop the tyrant. Goku throws a direct punch at Frieza, who blocks it with ease, but the force behind the attack forces him to step back. Vegeta follows, unleashing blasts of ki that explode around them, forcing Frieza to move faster than he expected.
So this is the famous golden transformation. Interesting, though disappointing. It's not enough.
Vegeta responds with restrained fury.
We're not what you expected, Frieza. We're more! This is the end of your tyranny!
With a battle cry, Vegeta unleashes a barrage of punches, each one faster and stronger than the last. Frieza dodges at first, but the intensity and speed of the attacks force him to use his true strength. His movements become more calculated and aggressive, but Goku appears behind him, launching a ki blast directly at his back. Frieza barely turns in time, crossing his arms to block the impact, though the explosion makes him stagger.
There's no escape this time, Frieza! This is for all the Saiyans you destroyed!
The intensity of the battle increases, with Frieza, Goku, and Vegeta clashing in mid-air. Every blow, every energy blast shakes King Vegeta's palace, crumbling columns and cracking walls. The air grows thick with unleashed energy, the golden flashes from the young Saiyans illuminating every corner of the hall as the guards watch in awe and terror. Frieza, pushed to his limits in his first form, lands a few meters away, breathing with some effort. His smile now sinister and resolute, he raises his gaze and, with a tone of icy determination, addresses the boys.
Did you think you were the only ones with a higher level? You've underestimated my power, little warriors. Now you'll see what it means to face true terror.
Concentrating, Frieza begins to release his energy. A wave of dark power emanates from his body, his form starting to change. He becomes taller, more muscular, his appearance transforming into something far more menacing. His eyes shine with barely contained fury. His power surges, the ground trembling under the intensity of his transformation. Goku and Vegeta take a step back, feeling the pressure of Frieza's new power, but their gazes remain unshaken.
So, what do you think? Do you still believe you can defeat me?
Goku, breathing deeply to calm himself, takes a fighting stance. Vegeta, beside him, follows, both shining with the intensity of Super Saiyan. It doesn't matter how many transformations you have, Frieza. We're not backing down anymore. We've trained for this moment. We'll overcome any barrier you put in front of us. Frieza smiles, launching himself at them with renewed speed and strength. The battle resumes, but this time the difference is noticeable. Frieza, in his new form, is faster and stronger, and each of his blows resonates with terrifying power. Goku and Vegeta fight with everything they have, trying to keep up, each one launching attacks that Frieza barely dodges or blocks with effort. The fury of the battle shakes the palace as King Vegeta, powerless, watches as the fate of his race is decided before his eyes. Goku's energy flares like a golden blaze, unleashing a deafening roar that echoes in every corner of the palace. His aura expands, burning with fierce intensity. Beside him, Vegeta concentrates all his energy into a devastating attack, the final flash, which accumulates in his hands, glowing like a small sun. Vegeta, his eyes fixed on Frieza, launches his attack with all the Saiyan fury within him. Final flash! The energy blast cuts through the air with a deafening hum, illuminating Frieza's face, who, despite his reflexes, fails to evade it. The attack hits him head-on, enveloping him in a blinding explosion that shakes the ground and fills the air with a cloud of dust and debris. For a moment, silence reigns in the palace, and Goku and Vegeta watch, holding their breath, hoping the attack was enough. As the smoke dissipates, Frieza's figure reappears. His face is marked by the impact, his armor damaged, but his smile remains intact, darker and more ruthless than ever.
Well, well, that actually hurt. I must admit, little prince, you have some talent. And you, Kakarot, it seems you've got power to spare too. But if you think this is enough, you're sorely mistaken.
Goku and Vegeta exchange a glance. They know they haven't reached the limits of their own power yet. Goku steps forward, raising a hand and concentrating more energy, his aura gleaming with golden sparks. Frieza, we're done playing! If you want to see just how far we can go, then get ready! The air around them electrifies, the tension and intensity of the fight reaching a point of no return. Both Saiyan warriors are determined to prove to Frieza that the Super Saiyan legend isn't just a myth, and it's not the last trick they have up their sleeves. Frieza transforms again, reaching his third form. His muscles expand, his body becomes more monstrous, and a crazed grin appears on his face. His speed is slightly reduced, but the sheer power of his ki makes him more dangerous than ever. Without wasting a moment, he extends his claws and launches a rain of ki blasts in every direction, forcing Goku and Vegeta to fall back. The Saiyans dodge the attacks at full speed, but they can feel the pressure of each explosion surrounding them. Goku steps aside to find a clear position for an attack, bringing his hands together as he begins gathering energy. A bluish light starts to form in his palms, growing in intensity. Beside him, Vegeta understands without a word and raises his own hand, channeling his energy into an intense violet glow. Goku and Vegeta share a brief look, and in synchronized movement, they both unleash their attacks toward Frieza, creating a pure spectacle of power. Kamehameha! Gallic Gun! The two beams of energy, one blue and the other violet, streak across the battlefield, crossing paths in midair before colliding directly with Frieza. The Emperor is engulfed in an explosion of light and ki that shakes the heavens and cracks the palace walls. For a moment, the brightness is so intense it's nearly impossible to distinguish Frieza's form. But as the light fades, Frieza reappears, visibly wounded and panting, yet still smiling with that sinister sneer.
Well, I admit you're strong, but do you think that's enough to stop me? The fight is far from over.
Goku feels the power of the Kaio-ken merging with his Super Saiyan transformation, creating a vibrant, radiant aura around him. His energy rises to unprecedented levels, and his gaze turns fierce and resolute. Yes! We're going to show you what we're capable of! Kaio-ken!
With this shout, the red aura fuses with the golden glow, creating an impressive display that lights up the battlefield. Frieza watches with growing disdain, his eyes reflecting the challenge thrown by the young Saiyans. Beside him, Vegeta is not one to fall behind. With an agile move, he brings his hands together and launches a ki disc, precisely slicing off Frieza's tail. The severed part falls to the ground, provoking a furious scream from the Emperor.
What? That was a fatal mistake, Saiyan!
Facing his fury, Frieza pauses for a moment to recalibrate his strategy. His eyes turn cold as ice, and a dark smile crosses his face.
I can't let myself be humiliated like this. If these children have come this far, it's time to show my true form.
With a determined movement, Frieza begins to transform. His body swells, his muscles bulge, and his figure becomes even more terrifying. A dark energy envelops him as his final form is revealed, transforming him into a being that radiates pure evil and power. Goku and Vegeta's eyes widen with surprise and awe as they take in the monstrous figure now standing before them.
Welcome to the real nightmare, Saiyans. Prepare to face terror in its ultimate form.
The tension in the air is palpable. Both warriors know the real challenge has begun, the final effort against the tyrant who rules the universe with a corrupt iron fist. Frieza, in his final form, stands like a menacing colossus, his power a dark omen looming over the Saiyans' future. Goku and Vegeta, their auras still blazing, prepare to face the monster before them.
We won't let you destroy our home, Frieza! No matter how strong you are, we'll fight to the end! You're just a tyrant clinging to power! Today the Saiyans will not surrender!
Frieza sneers with disdain, enjoying the challenge. However, in his mind, the knowledge that the Saiyans have reached new heights irritates him. With a swift movement, he launches a series of ki blasts at the young warriors, forcing them to dodge and counterattack. The battle intensifies, each blow they exchange resounding like thunder within the vast hall of the palace. King Vegeta watches from a corner, feeling the tension. The hall, once majestic, is now a ruined battlefield, and his heart races with concern for the fate of his people. Memories of Saiyan glory mix with the fear of losing everything. Suddenly, amidst the chaos, Frieza launches a devastating attack, a sphere of dark energy that hurtles toward Goku and Vegeta. Both, sensing the intensity of the threat, raise their ki to the maximum, preparing to counter it. But in an instant, the sphere explodes in the center of the hall, creating a shockwave that sends them flying, destabilizing them.
Vegeta! Hold on!
Dust and debris fill the air, and as the vision clears, Goku realizes Frieza has vanished. The hall is filled with smoke and desolation, the echoes of the battle ringing in his ears. Suddenly, a sinister laugh emerges from the shadows, and Frieza appears behind them, his dark aura glowing intensely. The dissipating smoke reveals the scene before Goku's eyes. Frieza has one foot pressed down on Vegeta's head, preventing him from getting up to continue the fight. The destruction around them has already drawn the attention of the palace's nearby inhabitants, who watch as their future ruler is humiliated.
Really? So this is the heir of the Saiyans? What a disappointment. I expected more from someone who claims to be the warrior prince.
You damn insect! Don't think you'll get away with this!
Frieza presses down harder, laughing at Vegeta's suffering. The humiliation, combined with his injuries, awakens something deep within Goku, a rage that begins to resonate in his golden aura, making it shine even brighter. Slowly, Goku stands up, his eyes flashing with fierce determination as he faces Frieza.
I won't let you lay a finger on Vegeta, Frieza! This fight isn't over!
Goku charges at Frieza, who steps back slightly, releasing his grip on Vegeta. The battle between the two warriors resumes with brutal intensity. Goku's punches sound like thunder, while Frieza, now in his final form, counters each attack with overwhelming agility and strength. The palace, already weakened by the battle, begins to collapse under the destruction. Pieces of the ceiling fall, and the ground trembles beneath the weight of their powers. Vegeta drags himself to his feet, his body exhausted but his spirit unbroken. With one last effort, he joins Goku in the attack, launching a flurry of punches and blasts of ki that surround Frieza, momentarily trapping him. The two Saiyans, in a rare moment of synchronization, fight as if they were one, each complementing the other's techniques and movements. Angry at their unexpected resistance, Frieza releases a burst of energy, sending both warriors flying back. He stands in the center of the hall, breathing heavily but with a malicious smile on his face.
Do you really think you can defeat me? I'm the Emperor of this universe, foolish children. I've crushed entire worlds, and you will be no exception.
Despite their wounds, Vegeta and Goku stand up once more. They share a brief look, aware that their chances are growing slimmer, but also knowing this is the decisive moment.
Vegeta, we're not giving up, right? Never. Saiyans fight to the end. And if this is our last battle, so be it.
Both of them raise their ki to the maximum, their golden auras merging into a storm of energy that lights up the ruined hall. Frieza watches with disdain, but a spark of doubt flickers in his eyes. The two Saiyan warriors let out one final battle cry. The end is near. The question lingers in the air. Will the Saiyans' will and power be enough to face the Emperor? With fierce determination and a final tearing shout, Goku and Vegeta concentrate their forces, their bodies vibrating to the limit as their golden auras intensify, overflowing in a blinding flash that shakes the foundations of the already devastated palace. Every fiber of their muscles tenses, their bodies glowing with a power they can barely contain. Their hair, sharp and electrified, becomes even brighter, their eyes burning with unbreakable fire. They have reached Super Saiyan Phase 2. Frieza, watching with disdain, feels a sudden pang of surprise as he notices the immense increase in their ki. For a moment, doubt and fear cross his eyes, though he quickly masks it with his usual arrogance.
Well, you've exceeded my expectations, monkeys. But if you think reaching a new phase will change your fate, you're sorely mistaken. I am still your Emperor, and no transformation can challenge my supremacy.
Goku and Vegeta exchange a look of mutual understanding, knowing their bodies can't maintain this form for long, but also realizing it's their last chance. Without a word, they both launch a barrage of devastating attacks at Frieza, their movements faster and more ferocious than ever. The ground cracks beneath their feet with each step, and the atmosphere charges with pure energy, emitting lightning and explosions with every blow.
This is the power of the Saiyans, Frieza! Prepare to face the fate you brought upon yourself!
Goku, advancing quickly, lands a direct punch that Frieza barely manages to block. The impact echoes like thunder, sending Frieza stumbling back. Recovering quickly, the Emperor releases a ki blast that fills the battlefield with a dense fog. Through the smoke, the Saiyans' glowing auras illuminate the scene, and a resonant voice breaks through.
No matter how many times you try, Frieza, as long as there's a single Saiyan standing, there will always be resistance!
From within the fog, Vegeta emerges at full speed and throws a punch that strikes Frieza's face, causing him to stagger. A mix of frustration and fury painted onto his expression. Frieza steps back, feeling the weight of their relentless attacks, but quickly clenches his teeth and launches a massive energy sphere. Goku and Vegeta see it coming, and in a perfectly synchronized act, both extend their hands to stop it. The sphere crackles with overwhelming energy, pushing them to their limits as they hold it back.
We won't give up!
Both Saiyans scream in unison, combining their strength and hurling the energy sphere back at Frieza, who, surprised, barely manages to dodge it. The explosion reverberates through the palace, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. Frieza, now breathing heavily, appears increasingly frustrated, his arrogance faltering as he sees these warriors not only growing stronger, but willing to sacrifice everything for this fight. For the first time, a flicker of genuine concern appears in his eyes.
Cursed Saiyans! Do you really think this ends here?
But before Frieza can make another move, Vegeta and Goku, visibly exhausted but resolute, advance again, their auras flaring once more as they prepare for the next attack. The tension mounts to an unbearable level, and the scene freezes at the precise moment when Goku and Vegeta, in a final effort, throw their fists towards Frieza. At that moment, out of the corner of his eye, Frieza sees a Saiyan woman running toward them, and in one swift move, he grabs her by the neck, pulling her to his side. Frieza holds the woman with one hand, his fingers cruelly gripping her throat as he lifts her, savoring the shocked look on Goku's face and the barely contained fury in Vegeta's eyes. Amidst the dust and destruction, the figure of Guin becomes visible, and the surprise in Goku's eyes turns to despair.
Frieza! Don't be a coward! If you have any honor, fight me, not defenseless civilians!
Frieza looks at Vegeta with a mocking smile, but doesn't release Guin. The pressure of his hand increases, making her gasp for air. Goku, unable to hold back, takes a step forward, his hands trembling and his ki on the verge of erupting.
Kakarot, don't risk yourself for me! No!
Let her go, Frieza! She has nothing to do with this! Frieza tilts his head, a spark of interest in his eyes as he whispers in a venomous voice.
Oh, so it's true. This woman, she's your mother, isn't she? How touching. I wonder how strong a Saiyan could be after losing someone like that. What would you do, Goku, if this were her last breath?
Goku's eyes flash with a mix of terror and fury, his energy nearly overflowing. Vegeta, looking at Goku, recognizes the pain and conflict in his companion. He knows they have to act, and fast. Goku closes his eyes for a moment, diving deep into himself, seeking the strength and focus he had discovered in battles past. A memory of his fight with Piccolo Daimyo surfaces, sharp and vivid, the moment he threw his entire being into a final attack, fearless with a will as sharp as a blade. He feels his energy surge and condense within him, focusing into a lethal point. Meanwhile, Frieza watches him with disdain, increasing the pressure on Guin's neck, savoring every pained gasp.
Are you just going to stand there trembling, Goku? Or were the legends about Saiyans just that? Empty stories.
Goku opens his eyes. The desperation in them has been replaced by an intense, almost terrifying calm, like the stillness before a storm. Without a word, he begins to raise his ki, channeling it through his body with precise control. A golden glow intensifies around him, interspersed with tiny white sparks, enveloping him entirely. Dust and debris rise from the ground, drawn up by the energy radiating from him.
Kakarot! What in the world are you planning?
I won't let Frieza get away with this. Not again. His tone's calm contrast with the intensity of his rising energy. Guin, hanging in Frieza's grasp, locks eyes with her son, and in her gaze is a mix of trust and resignation. Frieza, sensing the danger, frowns, his smile fading.
What are you doing, Goku? Do you really think you can intimidate me?
Goku takes a deep breath, his energy spiraling around him. Then he charges forward like a flash of light, his fist extended like an unstoppable spear. Frieza barely registers the attack before feeling a devastating impact. Goku's fist pierces through him, shattering his armor and wounding his pride. Guin falls to the ground, free from Frieza's grip, gasping and clutching her neck where his fingers left their mark. Frieza staggers back, disbelief etched on his face. His trembling hand touches the hole now piercing his torso, his gaze shifting to Goku, his eyes filled with a mix of rage and fear, a glint he never thought a Saiyan could elicit in him. At that moment, Raditz lands on the battlefield. His expression freezes as he sees his brother standing there, radiant with power, facing a wounded Frieza. His eyes widen with awe and confusion, unable to reconcile the Kakarot he once knew, the little brother who wouldn't harm a fly, with the warrior who had just humbled the Emperor of the universe. All around them, Saiyan warriors and civilians watch in stunned silence, witnessing Goku standing before the weakened Frieza as if history itself were rewriting before their eyes. The legend they had heard as children, the Super Saiyan, had come to life in the form of the exiled warrior.
Kakarot! Brother, what have you become?
Goku remains silent for a moment, his eyes fixed on Frieza as the tyrant sways. His expression is one of serene danger, and as Frieza tries to gather himself, Goku simply looks at him with both compassion and resolve.
How dare you, you insect!
Your reign of terror ends here, Frieza! Frieza, his face twisted with hatred and desperation, lets out a final scream of rage, his raspy voice resonating across the battlefield.
This is why I wanted to exterminate you all! You Saiyans will always be inferior! Arrogant insects who don't know their place! If only I hadn't been so lenient with you, brats!
His gaze locks onto Goku and Vegeta, a deep-seated hatred that defies death itself. In that instant, Vegeta steps forward, driven by the pride and fury that define him, raising his ki to the very edge of his strength.
Your words hold no power here, Frieza! It's time for you to disappear once and for all!
With a cry that reverberates in the air, Vegeta charges his most devastating attack, a final flash into which he pours every last drop of his energy. The golden sphere in his hands grows and shines with blinding intensity. Without hesitation, he unleashes the attack directly at Frieza, who still stands defiantly. The explosion engulfs the Emperor, his body vanishing in a burst of light. As the radiance fades, Vegeta collapses to his knees, exhausted, his energy spent and his Super Saiyan form fading. Now in his base form, he breathes heavily, gazing at the empty space where Frieza once stood. The echo of the explosion resounds across the planet. Saiyan warriors and civilians watching from every corner have witnessed the end of the one who was once their oppressor. In that moment, the rumors about Frieza crystallize in their hearts. Everything they feared, everything they had ever heard about his cruelty and contempt toward them, becomes as real as the air they breathe. They understand they were driven to the brink of extinction for nothing more than the arrogance and fear of a tyrant. A profound silence settles over the battlefield, broken only by the faint sound of falling rubble and the ragged breaths of Goku and Vegeta. Goku and Vegeta, exhausted, collapse to the ground, gasping and feeling the weight of victory on their shoulders. Their bodies have returned to their normal forms, their golden auras dissipated, leaving them drained but finally at peace. The dust settles slowly, and the sounds of destruction fade, leaving an almost solemn quiet.
Vegeta, we need to go to Earth. The Dragon Balls. My father. Soon they'll need our help. Kakarot, I have things to tend to here. This planet. It's still my home. And my duty as prince isn't over yet.
Goku looks at him for a moment, understanding the weight Vegeta bears as the prince of his people, the responsibility he's finally ready to embrace. The two warriors, though exhausted and on the verge of collapse, share a brief but genuine connection, a camaraderie that transcends their differences.
I understand, Vegeta. Do what you have to do. I'll go back and keep my promise.
Both fall silent, their bodies finally succumbing to fatigue. In a last act of will, they close their eyes, allowing themselves to drift into unconsciousness. Around them, the warriors and inhabitants of planet Vegeta slowly approach, some with faces of astonishment, others with reverence. The power and rumors of the battle has swept across the entire planet, and now before them lie the warriors who, against all odds, liberated their world from Frieza's grasp. Several days have passed since that fierce battle. The palace of King Vegeta has been restored, with every stone and column rebuilt as a symbol of Saiyan strength. In the throne room, warriors gather. The inhabitants of the planet look upon their king with expectation and reverence. King Vegeta, seated on his throne, gazes at his son, who stands tall before him with a mix of pride and respect. Beside him, Goku maintains a humble demeanor, his presence standing out among the noble warriors of the court.
Vegeta, my son, all this time amidst conquests and challenges, I've waited to see the potential of our lineage reach unimaginable heights. And today, I've seen what I longed for. You have honored our race in the most dignified way. Not only did you face Frieza, but you demonstrated the true essence of the Saiyans.
The king pauses, directing his gaze toward Goku.
And you, Kakarot, although your place is not here, your courage and skill have also saved our planet. Somehow your presence has strengthened my son, and reminded him of the value of our lineage. For that, you have the respect of the throne of Vegeta.
Goku, somewhat surprised, smiles humbly and nods. Though he doesn't seek praise or titles, he understands the seriousness of the king's words.
Father, my journey is far from over. There's still much to prove, here and elsewhere. The battle against Frieza was only the beginning. I know, son, and that's why, as king, I want you to lead our forces. Your skill and your experience will make our race respected in the universe once more.
The hall fills with murmurs of approval, and a spark of pride shines in the eyes of the Saiyans present. Goku, watching the scene, feels a mixture of joy and nostalgia. Goku turns to King Vegeta with a calm but resolute expression. "I'd like to take a trip to a planet a bit far from here, called Earth." King Vegeta regards him, intrigued.
And what do you need to go to that place for, Kakarot?
On Earth, there are artifacts called Dragon Balls. By gathering all 7, you can summon a dragon that grants wishes. It's a unique power, capable of bringing back those we've lost. Hearing this, King Vegeta's eyes gleam with an ambition he barely manages to conceal. The thought of such immense power, one capable of altering fate and granting wishes, is something no ruler could ignore. The king leans slightly toward Goku, his voice low and laden with interest.
And what do you plan to do with these Dragon Balls, Kakarot? Why seek such a great power?
To bring back my father, Bardock. He fell in battle, fighting to protect me and my family. He deserves to return, and I want to be able to train alongside him. King Vegeta falls silent, contemplating Goku's words. The idea of resurrecting fallen Saiyan warriors to strengthen his army resonates in his mind. Saiyans have always craved immortality, the possibility of conquest without the fear of death. A power that can restore life. That would make our race invincible, Kakarot, and you have access to it. Yes, but I want to use it fairly. The Dragon Balls aren't tools for conquest, they're there for those who truly need them. The king observes him silently, trying to understand this peculiar ethic that Goku follows. Although he doesn't share it, something in Goku's resolute stance reminds him why this low-class warrior managed to transform into the legendary Super Saiyan. Finally, King Vegeta nods, letting the idea rest in his mind. Very well, Kakarot. Go to Earth and bring Bardock back. But remember, there's more we could do with those Dragon Balls. Don't forget that the power of our race now depends on what you decide. Goku nods respectfully, aware of the implicit warning in the king's words. Prepare a ship for Kakarot. I want him equipped with everything necessary for his journey. The soldiers nod quickly and begin to mobilize to carry out the king's orders. Goku, visibly excited, can barely contain his energy. His eyes gleam with enthusiasm as he follows the soldiers to the ship, a high-tech capsule resting on an exterior platform of the palace. The engines emit a faint hum, and the control panel lights illuminate the interior. One of the soldiers shows him the basic controls, though Goku seems more interested in admiring the ship's details, touching each panel with a radiant smile. Press here for takeoff, and here for navigation. The ship is set to take you directly to Earth's coordinates. Perfect, thank you. Though I'll think I'll learn along the way. I'm always better at doing things on the spot. The soldier raises an eyebrow, a bit doubtful, but Goku is already half distracted, glancing back toward the palace with a thought in mind. Before I leave, I want to say goodbye to my family. The soldier nods, and Goku leaves the platform, heading quickly to his house, still in the process of reconstruction. Goku walks through the rubble and enters what's left of his home, his footsteps echoing in the silence of the room under repair. Guin and Raditz look at him from the other side of the room, their faces still marked by the pain of Bardock's recent loss. Guin tries to keep a smile for her son, though the sadness is still visible in her eyes. Mother, Raditz, I have something to tell you. The king has given me an important mission. I have to travel to another planet, one called Earth. Guin squints, processing the news, while Raditz frowns, surprised. Another planet? Sounds interesting. But why you, Kakarot? What's so special about that place? It's not just a mission, it's also an opportunity. If everything goes well, I might find a way to bring our father back. Guin and Raditz exchange glances, and Guin's expression softens, revealing a mix of hope and gratitude. Oh, Kakarot, that sounds incredible! Bardock would be so proud of you. Don't think I've forgotten what you did in the palace. Defeating Frieza. Even though you're my younger brother, I have to admit, it was impressive. Raditz, you fought incredibly too. We're Saiyans. We fight together, and this mission is to protect all of us. Besides, I promise I'll be back, and I won't come back without our father. Guin steps closer to Goku and hugs him, tears in her eyes. No matter how long you're gone, Kakarot, we know you'll come back. But please, take care of yourself, my son. Don't let them outdo you over there, understand? Goku smiles and returns the gesture, locking fist with his brother. I promise. Goku opens his arms and Guin rushes into them, wrapping him in a hug so tight it seems like she doesn't want to let him go. Her hands tremble a little as she holds him, and Goku feels the warmth of his mother, a familiarity of a bond that, though new, already feels eternal. Take care of yourself, Kakarot. Don't forget who you are, or how much we love you here. Your father. I know he'd be here now, hugging you too. Goku closes his eyes and, for a moment, allows himself that feeling of peace and security, as if time has stopped in the home he's now leaving behind. Finally, he pulls back, and Guin caresses his face, imprinting every detail of her son in her memory. Raditz steps forward, looking at Goku with a mix of respect and pride, something unusual for him. Without saying a word, he extends his fist. Goku smiles and returns the gesture, bumping his fist against Raditz's, both understanding, without words, the bond that unites them as brothers and as warriors. Don't get soft out there. You're a Saiyan, and you should act like one. And bring our father back. Goku nods with a smile that reveals both strength and gratitude. I promise, brother. I'll see you soon. With one last look at his mother and Raditz, Goku turns and walks away slowly. Back at the palace, Goku strides down the wide hallways with determined steps. The warriors and King Vegeta's officers watch him, some with respect, others with curiosity, and a few even with a touch of admiration in their eyes. The recent battle has changed something in all of them, and in Goku too, who now understands more deeply what it means to be a Saiyan warrior and to fight for those he loves. When he reaches the launch platform, he finds the ship the king assigned to him, a sleek and polished vessel with the classic Saiyan design, but with a few upgrades. A couple of soldiers approach to oversee the final preparations and give him some last instructions. Here's the navigation system again. We've programmed the coordinates for the planet Earth. All you have to do is activate the system, and the ship will take you directly. And remember, the fuel is calculated for a round trip, so don't try to deviate unless you have another energy source available. Goku nods with a smile, grateful for the effort they've put in to make this journey possible. Finally, he takes one last look around the palace, the reddish sky over the planet, and the imposing castle behind him. A symbol of a history of conquest and battles. But Goku knows his mission goes beyond this world. He boards the ship and settles into the pilot's seat. The cabin is lit by colored lights, and in front of him, the screen displays the coordinates and the route to Earth. He takes a deep breath, filled with excitement and anticipation, and places his hand on the control panel. With a firm movement, he presses the ignition button, and the ship begins to vibrate gently. From outside, the soldiers and palace attendants watch as the ship slowly rises, its engine emitting an intense blue glow. With a final push, the vessel shoots into the sky, leaving a trail of light in its wake. Inside the ship, Goku looks out the small window and sees planet Vegeta growing smaller and smaller, a distant point in the vast universe. Although he feels a touch of nostalgia, his heart races at the thought of Earth, the Dragon Balls, and his mission's purpose. To bring his father back and prepare for any threat that may arise. Here we go, Earth. Get ready, Shenron, because I'll be visiting you soon. Goku is on the spaceship, watching in awe as everything passes by around him. Planets and comets zip past at incredible speed, leaving trails of colors that fill him with excitement. The ship moves through the vastness of space, and Goku, with a nostalgic smile, murmurs to himself, "It's been a long time since I was here. Earth." His words dissolve in the echo of his own emotions as the blue and green of the planet appear in the distance, standing out against the deep blackness of space. Goku feels a thrill of anticipation, eager to set foot on Earth again and see what has changed. However, before he can prepare for landing, something violently impacts the ship. The jolt is so strong that Goku nearly loses his balance inside the cabin. What was that? The ship shakes, and a screeching sound fills the air as it begins to plummet toward the planet. Goku tries to maneuver the controls, but the damage seems too severe. The ship enters Earth's atmosphere, tearing through clouds with a trail of smoke and fire. Finally, with a deafening crash, the ship slams into a mountain, scattering rocks and dust in all directions. As the dust begins to settle, the door of the ship creaks open, and Goku, a bit dazed but unharmed, slowly steps out. He looks around, observing the forest surrounding him, the fresh air, and the sound of birds that gradually begin to sing again. Well, definitely not the landing I was hoping for. While he assesses the area, he hears the sound of footsteps approaching through the leaves and branches. Moments later, an elderly figure with a serene demeanor appears among the trees. It's Grandpa Gohan, who felt the tremor of the ship from a distance and approached out of curiosity.
Well, well, it seems someone has arrived in quite a spectacular way.
Goku turns to him, and memories of his past life come flooding back. The elderly man before him knew him well. He was his grandpa, Gohan. Goku wanted to run to him and embrace him, but this time things were different. To his grandpa, he was still a stranger. Hello. Sorry about the mess. I guess I'm not the best at landing. Gohan chuckles softly, approaching him calmly.
Don't worry, young man. Sometimes long journeys end in unexpected ways. Tell me, what's your name?
I'm Goku.
Goku, huh? That's not a very common name around here. You must have come from far away, right?
Goku nods slowly, unsure of how to explain the reality. Gohan glances at the battered, now smoking ship filled with dents, and then looks back at Goku with a mix of curiosity and kindness in his eyes.
I'm glad you're okay, young man, because that landing was quite intense. But tell me, do you have a place to stay? Well, no, I don't really have anywhere to go right now.
Then come with me, Goku. My home may not be much, but it's cozy, and there's always room for an unexpected visitor.
Goku feels a warm gratitude that comforts him. Even though Grandpa Gohan doesn't remember him as he does, his essence hasn't changed. He's still the kind and generous soul who always showed him love. Thank you so much, sir. Gohan, right?
Yes, that's right. How did you know?
Well, I guess I just guessed. You have the air of a great teacher, someone wise. Gohan smiles, flattered, and gestures for Goku to follow him. The sun begins to set, painting the sky in warm hues, and the fresh mountain air surrounds them as they walk silently through the forest. Each step is accompanied by the crunching of dry leaves and the murmur of a nearby stream, and with each passing moment, Goku feels as if he's returning to a distant past. They walk along a narrow path bordered by tall, sturdy trees whose branches intertwine above, forming a natural canopy that filters the sunlight, casting dancing patterns of shadows and light on the ground. Goku observes each detail with fascination, from the whisper of the wind through the leaves to the buzzing of insects, everything intensely familiar and imbued with a soft nostalgia, as if the mountains themselves recognized and welcomed him back. As they continue along the path, Gohan points out some landmarks with enthusiasm.
That old oak tree has been here as long as I can remember. When I was young, I used to climb to the top to watch the sunrise.
It's a place full of peace. You can tell it's been your home for a long time.
That's right. And Mount Paozu has always been generous to me. It's taught me many things, like how to listen to the language of nature.
Goku nods, absorbing every word as if rediscovering the wisdom of his own past. As they go on, the sound of running water reaches their ears. Approaching, they find a crystal-clear stream flowing gently over stones.
This is where I stop every morning. The water is pure, coming from the mountains. Here, take a drink.
Goku bends down and takes a sip, feeling the coolness of the water run down his throat. It's as if every drop is infused with the very essence of the mountain. After a while, they emerge from the dense forest and arrive at a small plain covered with grass and wildflowers. In the distance, Gohan's modest home stands nestled among the hills. The small house, surrounded by flowers and plants, seems almost hidden, blending harmoniously with the landscape, like a secret place protected by time. There's a small vegetable garden and an area where Gohan has arranged stones in a circle for his meditations and training. Goku observes everything with bright eyes, filled with a mix of wonder and emotion, as if every detail were awakening old memories he thought were forgotten.
Well, young man, here we are. This is my home. It's simple, but it has everything I need.
It's perfect, just as I remembered it. Well, I mean just as I imagined it.
So you're someone who appreciates the simple things, Goku. That's a good start.
The two of them stand in silence in front of the house for a few moments, enjoying the sound of the wind and the birds singing softly in the distance. Gohan looks at Goku with a kind smile and asks,
Tell me, young man, have you eaten anything? After a landing like that, I imagine you must be hungry.
Goku scratches his head, a bit embarrassed. Truthfully, it's been a while since I ate. The journey was a bit longer than expected. Gohan lets out a gentle, understanding laugh and gestures for Goku to follow him inside the house.
Then there's no time to waste. Let's prepare something good. Nothing like a home-cooked meal after a long trip.
The warmth of Gohan's home is almost tangible as they enter. It's a simple place, but well cared for. In one corner, a small wood stove emits a gentle heat, and in the center of the room, a wooden table surrounded by benches awaits them. Gohan takes out some fresh vegetables and fruits from his small pantry, and with skill and patience, he begins to prepare a simple but fragrant meal. Goku, captivated by the homely atmosphere, watches his every move. It's like being at home.
Food tastes better when shared. It's one of those little lessons the mountain has taught me over the years.
Goku takes a seat across from his grandfather, and for a moment, both remain silent, sharing a deep peace that only family can provide. Each bite seems to be more than food. It's a moment of connection that Goku has yearned for, a kind of reunion with himself and the home he thought he had left behind. Thank you for everything, Grandpa Gohan. You have no idea how much this means to me.
You're a good boy, Goku. I'm glad fate brought you here.
They continue eating, and time passes slowly in that little house on the mountain. For Goku, every second shared felt like a return to his childhood in his past life. This time, he was going to be an obedient child, for the sake of his grandpa. Gohan finishes his last spoonful of food and, after a moment of reflection, leans toward Goku, his gaze full of curiosity.
Tell me, Goku, how did you get to Earth? Where do you really come from?
Goku remains silent for a moment, searching for the right words. He doesn't want to lie to Gohan, but at the same time, his story is hard to explain. Well, I came from a very, very far place. A place where life was different. I decided to come here because I had things to do. Important people. Gohan nods, sensing that Goku is keeping secrets but respecting his silence. The light outside begins to fade, and a gentle darkness envelops the small house. Both realize the day has ended, and Gohan, noticing the weariness in Goku's eyes, stands with a kind smile.
It's been a long day. I think it's time for us to rest. Will you help me set up the futons?
Goku eagerly nods, grateful to be able to do something for the elder. Together, they lay out the futons on the wooden floor, arranging the blankets to make them perfect. Gohan smooths out the edges while Goku places the pillows, and soon the room fills with a sense of home and calm.
Nothing like a good night's sleep after a day full of excitement, right?
Goku nods, feeling a strange mixture of excitement and peace he hadn't experienced in a long time. Lying on the futon next to his grandfather, he stares at the ceiling of the small house, listening to the gentle whisper of the wind and the murmur of the mountain in the night. Yes, it's just what I needed. Silence falls between them, and in the serenity of the night, Goku closes his eyes, feeling that although time and lives have changed, this connection with his grandfather remains intact. The next morning, Goku stretches and yawns, noticing that the sun is already high in the sky. To his surprise, he realizes he's slept deeply and for many hours, more than he's used to. Stepping out into the small yard, his eyes fall on a scene that brings back distant but familiar memories. Grandpa Gohan, moving with fluidity and precision, performs a series of martial arts movements in the air. The energy and discipline in each posture resonate with something deep within Goku. Grandpa Gohan! What are you doing? Gohan, pausing his series of movements, turns to Goku with a kind smile.
Good morning, Goku. I'm practicing a bit of martial arts. I like to stay in shape, and daily practice gives me peace and discipline.
That's amazing! Who taught you? Did you have a master? Gohan nods, his eyes shining with pride and respect.
Yes, my master was someone truly wise. His name is Muten Roshi, though some call him the Turtle Hermit. He taught me the discipline and technique of combat.
Hearing the name Muten Roshi, Goku's eyes light up, instantly recognizing the name and filling with excitement. Although this story is from his past life, memories of the old master's teachings and his time training with him bring him deep joy. Master Roshi! I've heard of him, and they say he's a great fighter. Hey Grandpa Gohan, could you train me a little? I want to learn more and, if possible, someday meet your master. Gohan chuckles softly at Goku's enthusiasm, finding a familiar spark in him.
Of course, Goku. I'd be delighted to show you a few things. It's not easy, but with discipline and practice, I can say you'll go far.
Goku nods, filled with excitement and energy. Both get ready, and Gohan begins to teach him some basic stances and techniques, his movements filled with grace and experience. Although for Goku, these were basic things he remembered well, the chance to share a moment with his grandpa was something he had longed for deeply. As Goku enjoyed his new life on Earth, immersed in the warmth of his home with Gohan, planet Vegeta continued its path, marked by the shadow of ambition and power. King Vegeta, now free from Frieza's control, had begun making drastic decisions, seeking not only to avenge the near downfall of his people, but also to consolidate his own power. In his mind, there was no room for weakness or compassion. Anyone who refused to follow his leadership, any commander or soldier who still held loyalty to Frieza, had to be eradicated. The Grand Palace, still in the process of restoration after the battle, was a hive of activity. The echoes of the king's orders resonated through the halls. There was no time to waste. King Vegeta knew that to rebuild his empire, he needed to eliminate any lingering influence of the galactic tyrant who had crushed his people for so long.
Gather all the officers and commanders loyal to Frieza. No one who dares to follow his orders should be left alive.
The soldiers, hearing the king's fury, hurried to carry out his orders. The air in the palace was dense, filled with tension and fear. The few remaining loyal to Frieza still clung to the idea that their emperor might return, but they quickly realized that their time had passed. King Vegeta was relentless, and with a single gesture, his soldiers took care of executing those who did not align with his will. In the throne room, King Vegeta waited with a stern and calculating gaze as the footsteps of his son, Prince Vegeta, and Goku's older brother Raditz echoed down the palace corridors. When both entered the room, the air felt even heavier, marked by the gravity of the king's orders.
Vegeta, Raditz! The Ginyu force is still lurking in the universe. Although Frieza is gone, these forces represent a threat. Their loyalty to him hasn't disappeared, and their desire for revenge could become a serious problem in the future.
Vegeta and Raditz exchanged a quick glance. They both knew what this meant. The Ginyu Force was one of the most feared groups in the universe, experts in combat with extraordinary abilities. And the idea that they were still active, operating under the shadows of Frieza, or even Frieza's father, unsettled them.
We need to eradicate them before they grow too strong. Or worse, increase in numbers. The mission is clear. Destroy them at the root. Make sure none are left alive.
Raditz, with his serious and confident demeanor, was the first to speak. Though he had been part of Frieza's army in the past, he knew that King Vegeta's control was different. It was more personal, more ruthless. Raditz felt the urgency and the pressure.
Understood, Your Highness. But we need to be careful. They were Frieza's elite.
King Vegeta, maintaining his composure, nodded, but there was something more in his expression, a glint of defiance. He had always been in Frieza's shadow, but now, with the tyrant dead, he felt it was time to earn his own respect. This mission could be the perfect opportunity to prove his power.
No problem, Father. We'll handle them.
But who better than me to lead this mission?
That's precisely why I called you, my son. This mission will be dangerous, but it is also crucial. Raditz, you'll go with him too. Teamwork is essential to ensure none escape.
Raditz, though less confident in Vegeta's methods, understood the gravity of the situation and nodded, ready to do whatever was necessary.
Agreed. We'll make sure to eliminate those rats.
Good. I expect this mission to be a reminder of what we are capable of. Without the dead weight of Frieza, it's time for us to take our place as the true rulers of the universe. And if any of them dare to challenge me, I won't hesitate to destroy them.
With the mission clear and the threat of the Ginyu Force fixed in their minds, Vegeta and Raditz set out, leaving the king's throne room behind, ready to embark on a mission that could shape the future of the entire universe. In a secluded corner of the universe, far from planet Vegeta, there was an isolated palace shrouded in shadows and silence. The air there felt heavy, as if Frieza's death had cast everything into an unstoppable darkness. The only interruption to the stillness was the heart-wrenching cry of a child. Kuriza, Frieza's son, who could not contain his sorrow over the recent loss of his father. Kuriza, a small child who resembled his father, though with a slightly different head shape and lacking horns, sobbed uncontrollably as he stared into the empty space before him, his small body trembling. Beside him, his grandfather, King Cold, knelt with his imposing stature and solemn expression, his face showing the pain of seeing his grandson suffer. King Cold, a giant compared to Kuriza, tried to comfort the child with a gentle touch on his shoulder.
Kuriza, your father is gone, but we must be strong. The universe goes on, and so must we.
But Grandpa, Dad is dead!
King Cold, though accustomed to loss, felt the child's sadness like a blow to his own heart. He knew Kuriza was young and vulnerable, and that the circumstances they now faced could shape his life irreversibly. However, King Cold was also aware that time stopped for no one, and the Frieza family had a legacy to uphold, even if the future seemed uncertain. As King Cold embraced his grandson, the remaining members of the Ginyu Force watched in silence, not daring to interrupt the moment of mourning. But the tension in the air was palpable. Guldo, Jace, Berter, Raccoon, and Banyu stood in the room, all with serious expressions, despite the sadness, where there was a swirl of conflicting thoughts and emotions in their hearts. Finally, Jace, with his white hair and red skin, approached the group, his gaze hard but defensive.
No one asked for our help, King Cold. Frieza never told us to go rescue him on planet Vegeta. What could we have done? If we'd been there, maybe we could have saved him, but... Raccoon, standing in the background, crossed his arms, observing a mix of frustration and loyalty toward their former leader. His voice was gruff, but there was a clear pain in his tone.
That doesn't matter now. The fact is, Frieza is dead. What are we supposed to do without him? Who do we keep fighting for?
Banyu, who kept herself more distant from the group, crossed her arms, looking at young Frieza with a mix of pity and concern. She knew that Frieza's young son was still unprepared for the universe's harshness. Her usually impassive face showed a hint of vulnerability as she observed the situation.
This is a moment of weakness, but we can't stay in it. If Frieza fell, that means others will take his place. The universe never stops turning.
As the Ginyu Force members discussed the future, King Cold, with a cold and calculating gaze, took a step away from his grandson, still consoling him with a hand on his shoulder. He knew that the time for lamentation had to end, and it was time to look toward the future, even if that future had darkened with Frieza's death.
Jace, Raccoon, Banyu, all of you. Frieza's legacy must continue, even if we're not all here together. There is no room for weakness now.
Frieza, still sobbing, looked into his grandfather's eyes, searching for answers, though he didn't yet understand what they meant. The reality of the universe, so unforgiving and filled with chaos, was something he would have to face sooner rather than later.
What we do now will determine the future of the Frieza family. If we want to survive, we need to be smarter. The universe won't forget Frieza existed, but it won't forgive his downfall either.
King Cold nodded slowly, a faint bitter smile on his face. The pain of losing his son Frieza ran deep, but he knew the universe had to keep moving forward.
We will take the reins now. If the universe wants war, we'll give it to them. And Frieza, your time to rule will come, but only if you become strong.
Silence fell over the room as the remaining Ginyu Force members assumed their new roles in the universe. In that moment, a new era began for the Frieza family, a legacy of darkness and power that, though crumbled, is not yet dead. And as young Frieza cries in his grandfather's arms, King Cold's cold resolve is forged with the same determination that his son Frieza once held. In the dark palace, filled with echoes of lament and silent fury, King Cold slowly rises from his throne, his imposing figure casting a shadow that seems to devour the room. The atmosphere, dense and heavy, grows even more tense with each step he takes toward the center of the hall. With eyes filled with cold determination, King Cold looks around, at the members of the Ginyu Force, at his crying grandson, and at the vast emptiness left in the wake of his son's downfall.
If the Saiyans want war, then war is what they shall have.
The declaration echoes in the hall, filling the space with a tense air, but also with a ferocity that begins to ignite a spark of excitement in the warriors of the Frieza family. The universe is in chaos after Frieza's fall, and King Cold knows that the only way forward is through strength, with the same relentless will that has always defined his lineage. The pain of Frieza's loss transforms into a flame that fuels his thirst for power. Frieza, though still with tears in his eyes, begins to calm down. Anger slowly replaces the pain in his youthful face. He wipes his eyes, clenching his fist tightly. His father's death has scarred him, but a sense of responsibility and revenge starts to grow in his heart. The passion for power runs through his veins, and the desire to avenge Frieza begins to overshadow his sorrow.
Yes! We will destroy those Saiyans! We won't let them win!
Jace, from now on, you will be the new leader of the Ginyu Force. You must lead them with the same cunning and tenacity that Commander Ginyu possessed. This is not the end. It is only the beginning.
Frieza's fall is left a void, and we shall fill it with our own power. Jace, though surprised by the appointment, bows to King Cold, his face showing a mix of respect and acceptance. He knew that Commander Ginyu's leadership had been absolute, but now it was his turn to carry the responsibility of leading the Ginyu Force. A difficult task, but not an impossible one.
Understood, King Cold. The Ginyu Force stands ready to act under my command. No one will forget Frieza's name. We will make the universe pay for his death.
The remaining members of the Ginyu Force, though still somewhat scattered and touched by the loss, nod with determination. Gerd, Butter, Raccoon, and Banyu look at each other,
recognizing the gravity of the situation.
This universe still belongs to us, and our war will not be limited to the Saiyans. There are other enemies on the path, and we must be stronger than ever. This is the hour of our true ascension.
The months had passed since the fall of Frieza, and the universe teetered on the edge of a new conflict. Frieza, who had transitioned from a child with a hint of innocence to one filled with rage and determination, now led the renewed Ginyu force under the guidance of his grandfather, King Cold. In the command room of his ship, Frieza stared at a hologram of planet Earth, his expression etched with fervent hatred.
How dare that miserable Saiyan leave planet Vegeta! Coward! He should be here, facing the consequences of his actions!
Banyu, the most skilled spy of the Ginyu Force, stood before him. Her demeanor was calm, though her eyes calculated every word before speaking.
It's not cowardice, my lord. Kakarot is a peculiar warrior. His departure wasn't a flight. It seems he's searching for someone on that planet. Something important to him.
Frieza turned his head sharply toward her, his tail snapping through the air in frustration.
I don't care what he's looking for. What I want is his head. And if he's on Earth, then that's where I'll seal his fate.
From the back of the room, King Cold raised a hand to silence his grandson's complaints. His icy gaze scrutinized every detail of the situation.
Frieza, don't let anger cloud your judgment. If you want to avenge your father, you'll do so with strategy. Remember, this Saiyan has already proven capable of something not even Frieza foresaw.
Frieza clenched his fists but nodded, suppressing his impulses.
Then we'll plan carefully. But I assure you, Grandfather, this time there will be no mistakes. Earth will be the place where the Saiyans pay for what they've done.
The Ginyu Force gathered around a holographic table. Projections of Earth rotated slowly, highlighting key locations. Jace, now the field commander, took charge of organizing the attacks.
Listen up, everyone. According to Banyu's intel, this planet lacks significant natural defenses. However, we've detected several energy signatures that could pose a threat. If we eliminate these resistances first, the rest will be easy.
Resistances? Please, Jace. If those Earthlings are like the ones we faced before, it'll be a piece of cake.
Don't underestimate anyone. The last time someone did, they ended up in ruins. My lord, what do you wish to do with the Saiyan Kakarot once we capture him?
Frieza remained silent for a moment, his red eyes fixed on the hologram of Earth. Finally, he spoke, his voice laden with hatred and determination.
We won't capture him. Kakarot must die, in front of everyone, so the universe knows what happens when they defy my family.
The Ginyu Force roared in approval, their loyalty renewed by the intensity of Frieza's words. King Cold's flagship, a colossal mass of dark metal, began its advance toward the solar system. Frieza stood alone on the bridge, gazing at the stars as they approached their destination. He remembered his father's words, his arrogance, and his power. In his mind, Frieza's defeat was nothing more than a stain that needed erasing.
Father, I will avenge you, no matter the cost.
At that moment, a soft alarm echoed through the room. A soldier entered hastily.
My lord, we've reached the solar system. Earth is within our reach.
Frieza smiled, a grin devoid of any innocence.
Excellent. Let the operation begin. Prepare to descend to the planet.
Goku trained under the sun alongside Grandpa Gohan. The two exchanged blows and dodged with speed, the air vibrating with the energy of their movements. The calm and heat of training were suddenly interrupted when Goku felt something strange, like a faint shiver running down his spine. Huh? That's weird. I feel like something bad is about to happen. I sense a ki I've never felt before, but it feels familiar. Grandpa Gohan looked at him with concern, but before he could respond, the sky above them began to darken. A colossal shadow crossed the horizon, followed by a metallic rumble. Grandpa Gohan, his face filled with uncertainty, took a few steps back as the massive ship descended slowly from the sky, kicking up clouds of dust and dry leaves around them. The metallic hum of the engines faded with a resonance that lingered in the air.
Goku, stay back. We don't know who they are or what they're after.
Goku, however, stepped forward, instinctively positioning himself between his grandfather and the ship now resting before them. His expression was serious, a gleam of determination replacing his usual carefree demeanor.
Don't worry, Grandpa. I think I know who they are.
The silence following the landing was broken by a mechanical sound. a ramp descended from the ship and 3 figures emerged. Leading them was a young boy of short stature, with pale porcelain-like skin, red eyes filled with hatred, and a tail coiled like a predator ready to strike. Frieza. Behind him walked Jace, the new commander of the Ginyu force, a confident smile on his face, and King Cold, radiating an imposing icy presence, his steps slow but heavy with authority.
So, here you are, the Saiyan who dared to defy my father.
Goku narrowed his eyes, analyzing the newcomers. Kuriza's resemblance to Frieza was unmistakable, from his form to the arrogance in his tone. Then his gaze settled on King Cold, whose powerful energy made him clench his fist tightly. That boy! He looks like Frieza! And that other one must be King Cold! This doesn't look good. Grandpa Gohan, though unaware of the specifics, sensed the gravity of the situation in Goku's stance.
Who are they, Goku? What do they want from us?
They're dangerous, Grandpa. Very dangerous. But I won't let them hurt you. Frieza stepped forward, pointing at Goku with a crooked smile.
So you're the famous Kakarot. You don't look like much. I don't even know how my father lost to someone like you.
Goku doesn't respond immediately. Instead, he took a deep breath, steadying himself as his eyes remained fixed on Frieza and his group. If you came looking for a fight, I'm sorry to say it won't be as easy as you think. King Cold, who had remained silent until then, took a step forward, observing Goku with curiosity.
So, you're the one who defeated Frieza, aren't you? I expected nothing less from a Saiyan. But I see you're not alone. Who is this old man?
Before Gohan could respond, Goku raised a hand, stopping him. Don't mess with him! This is between you and me! Frieza chuckled disdainfully, crossing his arms.
Between us? Do you really think you're in any position to negotiate, Saiyan? We're here to finish what my father started, and believe me, I won't make the same mistakes he did.
Don't worry, kid. He won't catch his breath before this is over. Goku assumed his combat stance, his muscles tensing as a breeze infused with energy swept the leaves around him. Then let's do this! Frieza took a step forward, letting the breeze stir his cape. His red eyes gleamed maliciously as they focused on Grandpa Gohan. A cold, calculating smile spread across his face as he spoke.
I wonder, Saiyan, what would happen if something were to happen to that old man? He seems to matter a lot to you, doesn't he?
Frieza's words landed like a hammer blow. Goku felt a fire ignite in his chest, a fury he couldn't contain. His jaw tightened and his hands, clenched into fists, trembled. Don't you dare touch him! Grandpa Gohan, his expression serious but serene, stepped forward and placed a hand on Goku's shoulder.
Goku, I won't let you face this alone. No matter how strong they are, together, we can—
No, Grandpa! This isn't a fight you can take on! This is dangerous. Too dangerous! Gohan's eyes reflected pride but also concern. He knew his grandson was determined, but there was something deeply unsettling about the presence of those 3 invaders. Please, Grandpa, run! Find somewhere safe! I won't let anything happen to you!
But Goku,
Just do it, Grandpa! Gohan finally nodded, though with a heavy heart, he stepped back, looking at Goku one last time, before retreating toward the nearby forest. However, the tension in the air was almost palpable, and every step he took carried the echo of a silent farewell. Goku turned to face Frieza, Jace, and King Cold. His eyes now burned like embers of determination. I don't know how strong you are, but this time things will be different. This time, I'll protect my own. I won't cower like I did when my father— He paused, the words catching in his throat for a moment. Then, he clenched his fist tighter. I won't fail this time! Frieza, who had maintained an arrogant smile the entire time, displayed a fleeting expression of something different. It was barely a flicker, a spark of something akin to understanding or empathy, as if Goku's words had struck a hidden chord. However, the moment passed as quickly as it had appeared, and Frieza returned to his smug demeanor.
How touching, Saiyan. But protecting your own won't be enough. We'll show you why my father was feared across the universe.
Jace, wearing a confident grin, began stretching his muscles, while King Cold simply crossed his arms, observing the scene with icy composure. Well, this might actually be fun after all. Let's see if you can back up those words, kid. The wind picked up, and the atmosphere filled with a dense, charged energy. Goku, with his feet firmly planted on the ground, began to raise his ki, causing the ground beneath him to tremble. Bring it on! The air grew heavier with each passing second as the three enemies readied themselves for battle. Frieza, Jace, and King Cold studied Goku intently, analyzing his every move. But Goku, firmly rooted in place, closed his eyes for a moment and began gathering as much energy as possible. Around him, a golden aura emerged, rippling like furious flames. Waves of ki emanating from his body violently swayed the nearby trees, tearing leaves from branches and lifting rocks from the ground. Birds fled the area, and the entire forest seemed to react to the colossal power he was amassing.
Where is this kid pulling all that energy from? This makes no sense!
King Cold narrowed his eyes, his calm demeanor masking a hint of surprise.
Interesting. It seems this little Saiyan is hiding more secrets than he appears to.
Frieza, however, remained confident, though his smile seemed more forced than before. He stepped forward, looking directly at Goku, and spoke with a mix of mockery and challenge.
Is that all you've got, Saiyan? You can shake trees and lift rocks, but that doesn't mean anything. You're still far from being a threat to me.
Goku's eyes snapped open, glowing with an intensity that left the three enemies speechless. A deep roar erupted from within him, and with a battle cry that shook the entire mountain, his golden aura flared to life, enveloping him completely.
This isn't everything I've got! I will protect this planet and my family no matter the cost!
In that moment, an explosion of energy surrounded his body, and his appearance began to change. His hair grew long and black, his skin took on a reddish hue, and a fur-like coat covered parts of his torso. His eyes turned golden, and his bushy tail swayed fiercely behind him. In seconds, the boy standing before them transformed into a grown man, radiating a power that seemed untouchable.
Super Saiyan 4!
The transformation left the trio completely stunned.
What the hell? What is this?
This can't be. This level of power surpasses anything I've seen before.
Even Frieza, who had maintained his confidence up to this point, was left speechless. However, after a few seconds, he regained his composure and forced a smile.
So, you can transform. So what? No matter how strong you are, you're no match for me or my forces.
Without replying, Goku looked at his hands. He knew this form was more powerful than any he had reached in his lifetime, but he was also aware of its limitations. His child's body wasn't fully prepared to sustain this transformation. He felt the weight of his own power pressing on every muscle.
I don't have much time. If I don't finish this quickly, I'll run out of energy.
Taking a combat stance, his ki still shaking the ground beneath his feet, Goku challenged them with unwavering resolve.
Are you done talking, or are you gonna fight?
The challenge in his voice ignited the atmosphere. The three enemies, still stunned, exchanged glances, realizing they were now facing a force they couldn't underestimate. The tension in the air was palpable. Goku, in his Super Saiyan 4 form, stood firm, surrounded by the electric flashes of his powerful ki. Opposite him, Frieza and King Cold exchanged brief looks, nodding almost in unison. With a roar that echoed through the forest, both began to transform. Their bodies grew larger, muscles expanding as their features took on a ferocity never seen before. Their gleaming white skin reflected a fearsome power, their lean yet armored forms exuding raw might. Both had reached their fourth forms, a state that elevated their strength to terrifying levels.
You think you're special, Saiyan, but you're facing two members of the most powerful family in the universe.
Your transformation is intriguing, but it won't be enough.
Meanwhile, Jace, who had maintained a cautious stance, observed the situation. Though he knew Frieza and King Cold were immensely powerful, he also recognized they were up against a completely unpredictable foe.
This guy, he's not normal. If we want to complete this mission, we'll need to act intelligently.
Raising a hand, he signaled to the ship above. Descending from it came the remaining members of the Ginyu force. Raccoon, Birder, Jace, and Guldo, followed by Banyu.
Looks like the little monkey needs us to keep things entertaining for a while.
This guy has no idea what he's gotten himself into.
Gotta admit, though, that transformation's pretty sleek. Guldo, on the other hand, eyed Goku nervously, unable to hide his unease.
Not sure we can handle something like him, even altogether.
Banyu, who had been observing in silence, crossed her arms and spoke in a serious tone.
Stop underestimating him. That kid isn't like any other ordinary Saiyan. If you let your guard down, he'll take us out before we can react.
The Ginyu force took strategic positions, completely surrounding Goku. Above them, Frieza raised a hand, his ki aura pulsing ominously.
Goku, this ends here. No matter how many transformations you have, you won't stand a chance against all of us.
Goku didn't flinch, his gaze shifting to each enemy surrounding him. Though his adult form gave him an imposing appearance, his heart remained that of a pure warrior, determined to protect. You can all come at me together if you want. I don't care how many of you there are. I'll protect this planet and the people I love, even if it costs me everything. The energy around Goku intensified, causing the ground beneath him to crack. His enemies felt the weight of his ki but refused to retreat. Frieza moved first, launching himself at Goku with impressive speed. The Saiyan narrowly dodged, and Frieza's punch created a shockwave that toppled nearby trees. Immediately, King Cold joined the assault, combining his power with his grandson's. From the rear, G signaled to the Ginyu force. Everyone, charge! In an instant, Goku was under attack from all directions. Punches and energy blasts filled the forest, each strike more devastating than the last. Yet Goku, with precise movements and unwavering determination, managed to evade and counter most of the attacks. I can't maintain this form for long. I have to end this quickly. Rising above the treetops, his now adult body glowing with the energy of his Super Saiyan 4 form, Goku extended his hands skyward, gathering energy from the environment. The white and grayish sparks surrounding his aura reflected the superhuman effort required to sustain his form while focusing on creating the Spirit Bomb. Lend me your energy! All living beings on this planet, help me protect it! From the forest, mountains, and sky, small motes of light began converging toward Goku, coalescing into a luminous sphere above his hands. But his enemies weren't about to let him finish his technique. You think we're just going to watch while you pull that stunt? You're not the only one who can use energy! Frieza lunged with a direct strike, but Goku, even as he focused on charging the Spirit Bomb, spun mid-air and narrowly dodged. King Cold followed closely, unleashing a barrage of ki blasts to throw him off balance.
Jeez! Burter! Stop him!
The Ginyu force rushed to surround Goku. Burter used his speed to try to block Goku's movements, while Jason Raccoon attacked from different angles with a combination of punches and energy blasts. I don't care how much power you've got! We're not letting you win this fight! I'm not giving up! Despite his agile dodges, Goku's breathing grew heavier. His childlike body was reaching its limits even with the temporary advantage of his transformation. His aura flickered and crackled as if the stability of his form was on the verge of collapse. On the ground below, Grandpa Gohan watched the intense battle with a mix of concern and admiration for the young warrior.
Goku, how can you be so strong, so brave?
High above, Goku cast a determined gaze at his enemies as the Spirit Bomb grows steadily in his hands. Take him down now! Goldo attempts to freeze Goku in time once again, but the Saiyan's concentration and pure heart seem to create an invisible barrier that repels the technique before it can take effect. This is impossible! Banyu, more analytical than her companions, narrows her eyes as she observed the scene. This kid, his energy isn't just powerful, it's like the planet itself is fighting alongside him. Goku, aware that time is running out, summons one final surge of inner strength. With a cry that reverberates across the landscape, the Spirit Bomb reaches a colossal size, illuminating the sky with a blinding radiance. This is the energy of all living beings! You cannot defeat the power of unity! Blinded by rage, Frieza charges directly at Goku, determined to stop him before he can unleash the attack. With a final earth-shaking roar, Goku hurls the Spirit Bomb with both hands towards his enemies. The massive sphere of energy descends slowly, casting a near-celestial glow over the forest and sky. This is for everyone who wants to live in peace! Frieza, King Cold, and the Ginyu Force try to resist the onslaught. King Cold fires a powerful energy blast with all his might, but the Spirit Bomb merely absorbs it, growing even brighter.
This can't be! It's impossible!
The collision is inevitable. The Spirit Bomb touches the ground, enveloping all the enemies in a massive explosion of pure energy. The forest quakes, mountains tremble, and a ferocious wind sweeps everything in its path. The light is blinding, and for a moment, absolute silence falls over the area. As the radiance fades, Goku hovers in the air, his transformation gone. His body has reverted to that of a child. His clothes tattered, his face covered in sweat and dust. He pants heavily, descending slowly to the ground.
Did I do it?
The terrain is devastated. The bodies of King Cold, Jace, Burter, Goldo, Raccoon, and Banyu lie motionless, deeply wounded and out of combat. Yet a faint sound breaks the stillness.
I'm not done yet.
Goku looks up, startled. Kisa, though visibly battered, his body riddled with injuries, manages to stand. His energy is faint, but his determination burns fiercely in his eyes.
My grandfather, my soldiers, they may not wake up, but I can still fight.
Goku feels a mix of admiration and concern for Kurisa's willpower, but knows the young alien is on the verge of collapse. Kisa, that's enough! If you keep this up, you'll destroy yourself!
Shut up! I don't need your pity! This is for my father!
Kisa charges at Goku with one last desperate attack, but his body no longer responds as it should. His movements are erratic, his strikes losing power before they land. Goku, though exhausted, dodges with ease, refusing to counterattack. Kisa, you don't have to fight anymore. This won't bring your father back. Kisa halts, staggering. The rage in his face gives way to pain, frustration, and deep sorrow.
Then tell me what to do! What am I supposed to do now?
Goku steps closer, his expression one of genuine compassion. Live, Kisa. Find something worth fighting for. Something other than hatred. It's what Frieza never understood. Kisa collapses to his knees, finally too weak to continue. His small body trembles as he punches the ground in frustration, releasing all his pent-up emotion.
I don't know how. I don't know how to do that.
Goku approaches, extending a hand toward him, a gesture of friendship that takes the young alien by surprise. I don't know either, but someone taught me, and now I want to teach you. Goku's thoughts drift to his past, recalling moments of doubt and despair, times when he nearly faltered, but he always stood back up, thanks to his friends, his family, and his mentors. Kisa, kneeling on the ground, pounds the earth with his fist as his tear-filled gaze turns distant. His body trembles, worn out from exhaustion and emotional turmoil.
What did my father do to deserve to die? Tell me, Kakarot! What did he do that was so terrible?
Goku remains silent for a moment, taking a deep breath as he watches Kisa. His face reflects empathy, but also a stern resolve. He steps closer, his words heavy with truth. Kisa, let me ask you something. What did my father do to deserve to die? Kisa looks up, confused by Goku's words. His tear-filled eyes meet the Saiyans, which now gleam with a mix of sadness and determination.
Your father? What does he have to do with this?
Crossing his arms, Goku's voice takes on a darker tone. My father, Bardock, died at the hands of Commander Ginyu, one of your father's soldiers. Not only that, Frieza planned to destroy the entire planet Vegeta. He didn't care about the Saiyans, not even the ones loyal to him. Kisa freezes, trying to process Goku's words.
What? What are you saying?
I'm saying your father was a tyrant. He conquered entire planets, destroyed lives, and enslaved civilizations. And when the Saiyans were no longer useful, he decided to exterminate us. Kurisa's eyes widen in disbelief, struggling to reconcile Goku's words with the image of his father he's held onto all his life.
Lies! That can't be true! My father was strong, powerful, a leader!
Yes, he was powerful, but he used his power to cause suffering. Do you think someone like that deserves respect? Or revenge? Kisa clenches his fist, his gaze dropping to the ground as he struggles with the emotions consuming him.
But he was my father.
And that will never change. But Kisa, you don't have to be like him. Kisa slowly lifts his gaze, meeting Goku's serious yet understanding expression. Think about what he did, about the suffering he caused. If you truly want to honor him, then be better than he was. Use your power to protect, not to destroy. A heavy silence falls between them as Goku's words deeply resonate with Kurisa's heart. The destruction around them mirrors the internal battle now raging inside the young alien.
What if I don't know how to be better?
No one is born knowing, but if you choose to try, you'll find a way. Kisa remains silent, still processing everything he's heard. The tears in his eyes dry slowly, and though his body is weak, a spark of something different begins to ignite in his gaze. Struggling to breathe, Kisa nods slowly. Goku's words have touched him, but his pride and confusion keep him from responding immediately. He stands with effort, unsteady, as Goku watches with a mix of concern and patience.
I'll think about it. I need time to process all this. It's too much.
Goku steps forward, positioning himself beside Kisa in case he falters.
That's okay. No one expects you to figure it out all right away. What matters is that you're willing to try. Frieza doesn't reply, his gaze shifting toward the wrecked spaceship. The devastated landscape surrounds them, splintered trees, shattered rocks, and the lingering echo of battle still hanging in the air. Slowly they make their way toward the remains of the ship. Goku steps steady and Frieza more hesitant.
Seems like I won't be going anywhere.
Yeah, my spirit bomb wasn't exactly kind to your ship. Frieza lets out a heavy sigh, his eyes drifting to the horizon.
What am I supposed to do now?
Goku crosses his arms, staring at the clear sky as he thinks. A smile soon spreads across his face. Well, you could stay here for a while. Earth is an amazing place. There are mountains, rivers, forests, even cities if that's more your thing. Frieza frowns, looking at him skeptically.
You want me to explore like I'm on vacation?
Not exactly. I mean, you can find a place to reflect here, experience new things, see how others live. And who knows, maybe you'll learn something about yourself. Frieza remains silent, considering the idea. His expression softens slightly as he looks at the landscape, the fresh breeze rustling the leaves of the remaining trees.
I've never been in a place like this.
It's a place full of life. If you take the time, you can learn a lot from this planet. Frieza appears to weigh Goku's words for a moment. Finally, he sits on a nearby rock, letting out a heavy sigh.
I guess I don't have many options.
That's what I wanted to hear. As the afternoon turns into evening, Goku helps Frieza reach Grandpa Gohan's cabin. Despite the tense atmosphere, Grandpa Gohan greets them warmly, asking no questions. It's always nice to share a cup with an unexpected guest. Frieza, though uncomfortable, accepts the hospitality. Goku watches, satisfied that the first step towards something new has been taken. Frieza, his face stoic but his eyes betraying an internal storm, observes from the corner where he's seated. The small wooden table is laden with simple yet well-prepared dishes. The aroma of hot stew fills the air. Gohan, with his usual calm demeanor, serves Frieza a portion as Goku devours his food enthusiastically. Here you go. It's simple, but made with care. Frieza takes the plate stiffly, nodding slightly in acknowledgement. His eyes wander over the room, the walls adorned with mementos, the warmth of a fire cracking in the hearth, and the cozy atmosphere he's never known. His race, accustomed to literal and emotional coldness, had never experienced anything like this.
Humans are strange.
Gohan looks up, smiling.
Perhaps we are, but that makes us interesting, doesn't it?
Frieza doesn't reply. He takes a small bite, and though he doesn't admit it, the taste surprises him. Speaking only when necessary, he finishes his meal quickly.
Thank you. I need to rest.
Of course, young man. There's a place ready for you.
Frieza disappears into the room prepared for him, leaving Goku and Gohan at the table. I think everything's going well, Grandpa. Frieza's not as bad as he seemed at first.
Perhaps. Sometimes a hardened heart just needs a bit of warmth to soften.
Then he's in the perfect place. Goku chuckles softly as he clears the dishes. The night passes quietly, and Goku feels satisfied with how things turned out. King Vegeta stands before the throne, his hands clasped behind his back. His piercing eyes are fixed on the massive monitor displaying the latest scouter data and recovered transmissions. His imposing demeanor reflects a monarch accustomed to absolute control. At his side, a Saiyan officer bows his head, awaiting orders.
So, it is as I suspected. The Ginyu force went after Kakarot and perished.
It's a likely conclusion, my king. Records indicate intense activity in that sector of the universe. However, the ship they sent has stopped transmitting signals. King Vegeta closes his eyes momentarily, pondering the situation. Then he turns to the officer.
Summon my son and Raditz. I want them back immediately.
The officer quickly leaves, leaving King Vegeta alone in the chamber. His thoughts are divided between satisfaction and concern. Kakarot, the Super Saiyan, as expected, continued to make waves. Time has passed. The once fragile peace has taken root, providing a much-needed respite for the inhabitants of Earth. Gohan's home, nestled on a small hill, has become a sanctuary for unique family. Goku, with his boundless energy and unwavering enthusiasm, has matured, though he remains the pure-hearted adventurer driven by the desire for growth. Beside him stands Frieza, Frieza's son, who has undergone a remarkable transformation.
Though his demeanor remains reserved, he's no longer the bitter, vengeful child who first arrived on the planet. The bitterness of his past has been replaced by deeper introspection, and the familial atmosphere has granted him a sense of belonging he had never experienced before. It is a calm afternoon. Goku and Frieza are training in the field. The sight of these two, an improbable alliance, training side by side, is surreal. While Goku remains the mentor, Frieza now demonstrates a surprising level of technique and control, having refined his power under Grandpa Gohan's guidance.
I didn't expect it to be this hard to keep up with you, Kakarot.
Come on, Frieza. I know you've got more than that in you. You should make the most of your skill and power. Don't hold back. Though Frieza appears calmer than during his early days on Earth, he retains a guarded stance. His life has changed, yes, but some aspects of his nature remain difficult to shed. As he watches Goku with a serious expression, his thoughts drift back to his home in the cold void of space, to his father Frieza, and the suffocating dilemma that once consumed him.
I still wonder what would have become of me if I'd continued with my mission, if resentment had won. Would things have been any different?
It doesn't matter, Frieza. What matters is who you are now, not who you were. We all have something to learn, something to improve. Frieza slowly nods, taking a deep breath. The internal battle that once consumed him has given way to new perspective. Though he doesn't have all the answers, he knows his path is no longer defined by destruction or tyranny, but by the possibility of something new. Inside the house, Grandpa Gohan, older and wiser, watches the two from the window. His face reflects a mix of pride and satisfaction. It's been a long journey, but seeing how Goku and Frieza have grown fills him with hope.
I never imagined this could be possible, but here they are, no longer defined by their past.
The morning dawns peacefully on Earth, with clear skies and the sun rising over the horizon. In Gohan's cozy home, Goku and Frieza, now more mature in demeanor yet still adventurous at heart, finish their breakfast. At the center of the table, a large spread of rice and fresh fruits fills their plates. Goku eats enthusiastically, his trademark grin plastered across his face. Hey, Frieza! Master Roshi wants us to meet early tomorrow. There's gonna be a tournament and everyone's coming. Krillin, Yamcha, Puar, Oolong, Bulma, the whole gang. It's gonna be amazing.
A tournament, huh? Sounds intriguing. I'm not exactly a fan of crowds, but I suppose it won't be too bad. What about you? Are you competing too?
Of course! I'm giving it my all! Ha ha ha! This tournament is a great chance to keep training. And who knows? It might be even more fun than it sounds. Frieza nods slowly, recognizing Goku's unyielding spirit. While he doesn't share the same carefree attitude, he can't help but feel a spark of curiosity about what his tournament might mean for him.
I don't mind participating, but just so you know, I'm not easy to beat, Kakarot. Even if I'm not as enthusiastic as you, I've learned a thing or two from all this.
Goku nods, acknowledging Frieza's seriousness while his eyes gleam with excitement at the challenge. That's what I like to hear! It's gonna be fun! I can't wait to see everyone in action! At that moment, Grandpa Gohan enters the room, smiling as he sees the two young men ready to face the day. Though his expression is calm, the pride he feels for both Goku and Frieza is evident.
So, the tournament. I'm glad you're still pushing yourselves. I'll be in the stands cheering you on, boys. Though I know you're prepared for anything, it doesn't hurt to remember why you fight.
Thanks, Grandpa. Don't worry, we'll do our best. We'll give it everything we've got.
I suppose this is all part of the learning process, isn't it? Even if public fights aren't exactly my favorite thing.
Don't worry, Frieza. Master Roshi has a way of making these tournaments more than just competition. It's an opportunity to learn and grow, just like Goku did in his early days. And even if the tournament feels like a game, don't underestimate the value of the experience you can gain.
Goku and Frieza exchange glances. Both are prepared, but for Goku it feels like a game, a new challenge to push his limits. Meanwhile, Frieza, with his more reserved mindset, remains aware that the tournament could hold surprises.
I guess we'll see just how far the fun goes in the tournament.
That's the spirit. Let's make it worth it! With one last smile, Gohan nods and steps away from the table, knowing that both Goku and Frieza have so much to learn, but that the strength of family support is what truly drives them. Time has passed and life on Earth has continued its course. Goku and his friends have grown, and the adventures that began with the search for the Dragon Balls and the martial arts tournaments now seem like a distant part of the past. Yet the peace they once longed for remains fragile, with life on the planet constantly teetering between calm and conflict. Goku, now an adult, lives a simple yet joyful life with his son Gohan and his family. In their home, a photograph of Gohan with his adoptive grandfather, the elder Gohan, rests on a table alongside fresh flowers that are always present. Chi-Chi, his wife, remains as caring as ever, managing the household and helping Goku keep things in order. Their small home is filled with love and warmth. The afternoon sun streams through the windows, bathing the living room in golden light. Goku sits beside Gohan, smiling as he watches his son grow strong and full of curiosity, while Chi-Chi arranges flowers in a small vase. However, the family atmosphere is disrupted by a presence that hasn't been felt on Earth in years. A spaceship appears on the horizon, descending slowly. Goku immediately rises, recognizing the energy emanating from the vessel. The same energy he felt years ago when, through the Dragon Balls, he revived his father Bardock. His face lights up with a mix of emotions: joy, nervousness, and most of all, the hope that his reunion will be as warm as he imagined.
Who could it be?
It's my parents and my brother! They're almost here. Inside the house, Gohan observes silently, sensing the Saiyan energy from the approaching spaceship. Though still young, he doesn't fully grasp the significance of this moment. The image of his adoptive grandfather Gohan on the wall serves as a reminder of everything his father has endured. A flower resting beside the photo symbolizes both peace and the memory of a man who was vital in Goku's life long before his journey as a warrior began. Meanwhile, Frieza, away in a nearby forest, is enjoying the calm and stillness of nature. Over the years, he has changed profoundly, and his connection to Earth, especially to Goku and Gohan, has transformed him. Though still reserved, the peace of the land has allowed him to find balance within himself, something he never knew in his childhood. Here, among the trees and the gentle rustle of the wind, Frieza reflects on his life and the changes he's undergone.
Everything's changed so much, but maybe this is what I needed. I can't go back to the past, but who knows what lies ahead.
The grandeur of King Vegeta's castle was overwhelming, its air filled with an aura of power and history. Bulma, ever curious, roamed through the castle halls, marveling at the exotic and ancient objects displayed on shelves and in glass cases. Her eyes sparkled with fascination as she gently touched the artifacts, as if uncovering an entirely new world.
Wow, this is incredible! What's this? And this? I've never seen anything like it!
Ah, that piece is from the ancient Saiyan civilization, the one that fell before our empire was founded. The Saiyans have been among the most powerful warriors in the universe for millennia, and everything here reflects our greatness.
As the Saiyan King explained the history of each object in detail, Vegeta stood at the back of the room, watching with a mixture of discomfort and irritation. His father always adopted such a solemn and serious tone when speaking about their people's history. What truly annoyed him, however, was Bulma's presence as she examined every corner of the castle, seemingly more interested in the artifacts than the stories of his lineage. Meanwhile, as his father continued to speak, Vegeta's face grew redder and redder, as if it were trapped in an awkward situation he couldn't escape. Suddenly, King Vegeta paused, turned to Vegeta, and his expression shifted into something serious yet playful.
So, Vegeta, when will you give me the grandchildren I've been waiting for? I'm not getting any younger, and I'd like to meet them before time robs me of the chance.
Vegeta, who had been distracted until that moment, stiffens completely. A deep red blush starts to rise from his neck to his face, but he can't hide the expression of confusion and embarrassment. His gaze nervously shifts toward Bulma, who, by coincidence, looks at him at that exact moment, already knowing what was about to happen.
That's not something to talk about right now. It's not the time. It's not ready for that yet.
Oh, come on, Vegeta. You can't hide behind that Saiyan pride. You know it.
King Vegeta lets out a deep, satisfied laugh, clearly enjoying his son's discomfort.
I see you have no answer, my son. But don't worry, I'll understand. When the time comes, the grandchildren will come.
Vegeta, still red as a tomato, tries to stay firm, but he can't help but feel a mix of embarrassment and frustration. He crosses his arms and tries to look serious, but the situation seems utterly ridiculous.
I don't have time for this! It'll happen when it happens!
Sure. Whatever you say, Vegeta.
The scene, though uncomfortable for Vegeta, turns comical as King Vegeta watches with satisfaction how his son tries to maintain his stance in front of the question, knowing very well that in the end he's only made Vegeta feel even more embarrassed.
Alright, let's move on, son. But, you know, time passes quickly. And grandchildren are the only thing we have left when our strength no longer shines as it once did. Stubborn old man.
You don't have to be so serious, Vegeta. It was just a joke.
Back with Goku, the ship finally touched down, the sound of its engines fading away along with the dust it had kicked up into the air. A silence filled with anticipation swept over the surroundings as the ship's door slowly opened. The first to step out were Bardock and Guin, who, after so many years apart from their son, now gazed at the Earth's landscape with a mix of awe and nostalgia. Behind them, with a firm but cautious step, Raditz also descended, carrying the same seriousness that had always defined him. From the threshold of the house, Goku, accompanied by Chi-Chi and their son Gohan, stepped forward to greet them. Goku couldn't help but smile broadly upon seeing his family reunited, a smile reflecting the satisfaction of knowing that finally, his family, his legacy, was coming together in this new life he had chosen. Chi-Chi, more reserved but equally excited, stepped forward with a soft smile on her face, and Gohan, somewhat shy and confused, watched the newcomers, unsure of what to do or how to react. Bardock was the first to kneel, looking at his son with a deep gaze, as if trying to read the marks of everything he had gone through in his life. Then, in a grave but affectionate voice, he greeted him.
Goku, son, it's good to see you, much more than I imagined.
Goku, unable to stop a joyful laugh, embraced his father, happy to have him in front of him. Then he pulled back and looked at Guin, who watched him with a warm maternal smile.
Mom! It's so good to see you!
Guin, with tears in her eyes, moved forward and embraced her son tightly.
My son, finally! You don't know how happy I am to see you. Well, how happy I am to know you're okay.
While the mother and son shared their embrace, Raditz, more serious but equally touched by the reunion, approached Gohan, who looked at him with curiosity. Raditz, with his usual proud tone, extended his arms and, without warning, effortlessly lifted little Gohan, causing the boy to let out a small, surprised scream.
Look at this little one! You've definitely got Saiyan blood, kid! You're stronger than I thought!
Please put me down!
Raditz, put him down! Don't be so rough with him, he's just a kid!
I'm just showing how proud I am of my nephew. This little one has everything it takes to be a great Saiyan warrior.
Gohan, looks like you'll have to get used to Saiyan surprises.
Guin, watching the scene, couldn't help but smile as she looked at her grandson. She nudged Bardock lightly, looking at Gohan with tenderness.
We've got a very cute grandson, Bardock. He looks so much like Goku when he was little.
Yes, although I hope he's not as impulsive as his father.
The family was reunited, bound by the bloodline that had transcended time and space. Goku looked happy, embracing his mother and father with the same warmth he had always had, while Chi-Chi, Raditz, and Guin shared in the joy of the reunion. The place, once silent, now vibrated with the laughter of their reunited family. Son, I want you to meet your grandparents and your Uncle Raditz. The years passed, and with them, the challenges that Earth and the universe faced became more intense. Threats never ceased. Invasions, villains from unknown dimensions, and power struggles tested the strength of the most powerful warriors. However, one constant remained: the resistance and courage of the Z-Fighters, along with a new ally who, despite his past, has earned the respect and trust of everyone, Frieza. Together, they protected Earth from the dangers that lurked. During this time, the universe itself became embroiled in new conflicts, and once again, the Z-Fighters were called to defend not only Earth, but the very balance of the cosmos. It was in a tournament of power, an event that would bring together the strongest fighters from across the multiverse, where Goku, Vegeta, and Frieza joined their comrades in an epic battle for survival. Against all odds, the alliance between them and their friends achieved victory, but peace was fleeting. The threat never completely disappeared, and the constant need for improvement was more evident than ever. So, once again, Goku, Vegeta, and Frieza embarked on their quest for absolute power, each perfecting their abilities in different ways. Goku was fully focused on mastering Ultra Instinct, a form that represented the pinnacle of combat perfection for him. On Beerus' planet, alongside the God of Destruction, Goku delved deeper into his training, seeking not only speed in his movements, but also the mental serenity that would allow him to reach even higher levels. Vegeta, with his usual ambition, had found a new form of perfection, Ultra Ego. Training with the intensity that had led him to become the Prince of Saiyans, Vegeta focused on maximizing his power through self-confidence, casting aside the need for absolute control and embracing the power that arose from his pride and inner strength. Frieza, for his part, continued on his own path.
He had reached a level of power that allowed him to transform into an even darker version of his race. Through rigorous training and unmatched concentration, he perfected his black form, an enhanced version of his demonic power with the ability to manipulate energy in a terrifying way, capable of rivaling the strongest. Every day, the three warriors trained, challenged each other, and honed their skills. There was no rest for them. Goku relished every fight. Vegeta fed off his pride, and Frieza, though less expressive, immersed himself in his training with iron discipline. Beerus' planet had become their personal battlefield, and their friendly rivalry remained alive as they continued to grow together. Come on, Vegeta! Let's go, Frieza! We can't slack off! I want to go further with Ultra Instinct!
Don't talk to me about Ultra Instinct, Kakarot! I'm reaching a power you can't even imagine with your evasion technique! Ultra Ego is so much more than that!
Frieza, who had been watching in silence, approached without saying a word. His dark and palpable aura began to surround him as he let out a faint smile.
You two are always fighting for perfection.
The trio prepared for another round, knowing that although their paths were different, their goals were the same. Surpass their limits, protect what they loved, and maintain peace in a universe that would never stop threatening to tear itself apart. A tremor filled the air when Goku, Vegeta, and Frieza felt a sudden fluctuation in ki. It was a different sensation, something that Goku and Vegeta recognized well. The same ki, the same scene, the same events that had led them to die and reincarnate. In an instant, their hearts stopped for a second. Gohan and Piccolo's energy was fading, disappearing at an alarming rate. It can't be! Gohan's ki and Piccolo's! They're disappearing!
I know. Cell Max, this monster is back among us. We've lived through this before, but now we won't let it pass. We won't allow him to repeat what he did in our previous lives.
Goku clenched his fist in determination, recalling with fury the moment when his son had fallen in the fight against Cell Max. Now that same threat loomed over Earth again, and they wouldn't let history repeat itself.
We can't let this continue. Let's head to Earth immediately.
With a knowing look exchanged between the three, the urgency in their actions was palpable. They knew time was running out, and every second lost could mean a greater catastrophe. Vegeta, this time we'll do it right. We'll defeat him together.
You don't have to tell me, Kakarot. We'll end this plague once and for all.
Frieza, though not one to easily show his emotions, stood firm, his dark aura glowing brightly as he prepared for battle. Though his personal goal had never been to save Earth, his loyalty to his new allies and his own sense of honor drove him to join the fight. With a swift movement, Vegeta turned toward Whis, who had been silently observing the situation unfold. The Angel, with his calm and serene demeanor, had already sensed the gravity of the situation.
Whis, take us to Earth right now! It's urgent!
Whis, with a slight smile, nodded silently. He knew what was at stake. Without wasting any time, he raised his staff, and with a slight movement, an energy sphere formed around them.
Understood. You three need to regain control of the situation. Stay calm, and make sure you finish what you started.
With a blink, the energy sphere expanded, and in an instant, the three warriors were transported to Earth, leaving behind the planet of Bills and the training that had strengthened them so much. The air on Earth already felt dense, heavy, as if the very atmosphere was foretelling what was about to happen. In the sky, a dark cloud formed, the echo of Cell Max resonating in the distance, while his overflowing ki rose with destructive force. It was time to avenge their friends, their family, and put an end to the nightmare that once again threatened to consume everything. The final battle was about to begin. When Goku, Vegeta, and Frieza arrived at the battlefield, the scene was desolate. The gigantic Cell Max, with his monstrous body and overwhelming ki, was standing, destroying everything in his path. His gaze was fixed on Gohan and Piccolo, who, exhausted and severely wounded, could only try to dodge his attacks. It seemed the monster was about to deliver the final blow, his enormous mouth open, ready to absorb them and add their powers to his own existence. But before he could carry out this threat, a sudden movement in the air caught everyone's attention. Raditz appeared suddenly with his superhuman strength and Saiyan warrior speed. He flew with impressive speed, grabbing Gohan in one hand and Piccolo in the other. In one swift motion, he moved away from Cell Max, leaving behind the devastation the monster had caused, not giving him a chance to react.
Goku, the rest depends on you! Don't let this opportunity slip away!
Raditz's shout echoed through the air, and his gaze filled with determination as he flew at full speed towards a safer area to keep Gohan and Piccolo out of harm's way. Though it wasn't his battle, he knew time was of the essence. Goku and the others had to finish off Cell Max now, before it was too late. Raditz, take care of them! Don't worry, we're finishing this once and for all! With Raditz safely taking the wounded away, the tension in the air grew even more. Cell Max, seeing his prey escape, let out a furious roar, his red eyes shining with infinite hatred. Goku, Vegeta, and Frieza exchanged a determined look. They knew what they had to do. They were ready. Without wasting any time, Goku activated his Ultra Instinct, his body glowing with intense white energy while Vegeta enveloped himself in his Ultra Ego, his dark aura vibrating with power. Frieza, for his part, immersed himself in the darkness of his black form, his black ki illuminating the atmosphere with its brutality. With a simultaneous yell, the three warriors launched themselves into an attack, a flash of energy lighting up the sky. Cell Max awaited them, unleashing his power in a fury. "It's time to end this, Cell Max! You're no longer a threat to us! This is the end of your reign! You have no one left to absorb. We will destroy you!" And with that, the final battle began. The three warriors attacked together, Goku dodging with his Ultra Instinct, Vegeta striking with the brutality of his Ultra Ego, and Frieza launching Energy Blast with the power of his black form. Cell Max, though immense and incredibly strong, couldn't keep up with their pace and soon began to retreat under the pressure of their combined attacks. If he's like his predecessor Cell, the key is to disintegrate his head. There's no other weak point in his body. Frieza focused his ki and with a subtle gesture activated his telekinesis, surrounding Cell Max with an invisible energy field that completely immobilized him. The giant monster, despite its immense strength, found itself trapped by Frieza's mental force, unable to move. "I'll keep this monster still. Goku, Vegeta, it's all yours. Finish this." Goku and Vegeta nodded without saying a word, knowing this was their chance to take down Cell Max once and for all. The sky darkened momentarily as Goku and Vegeta focused their energies, their auras exploding in a burst of power. Goku, with his eyes glowing with intensity, began to speak the words everyone recognized. Kamehameha! A beam of pure, vast, and brilliant energy erupted from his hands, lighting up the battlefield. Simultaneously, Vegeta positioned himself beside him, his body tense, his gaze fixed on Cell Max. Final Flash! A massive explosion of yellow light, charged with all the power of his Ultra Ego, joined Goku's attack. The combination of the two attacks created a shockwave that shook the space, making the entire planet tremble under its power. The two energy rays advanced towards Cell Max, engulfing his gigantic body in a blinding glow. The air filled with the roar of the attacks, the sound of the collision reverberating through the universe. Cell Max tried to resist, but his structure began to disintegrate under the unstoppable force of the Saiyans' offensive. Every fiber of his being was torn apart, every cell vaporized, until there was nothing left. When the light finally began to dissipate, all that remained in the air was emptiness. The monstrous form of Cell Max had disappeared, pulverized by the weight of the energy released by the two warriors. The wind gently blew across the battlefield, and for a moment, silence reigned. There was no trace left of the threat the monster once represented, only a distant echo of the storm of power that had obliterated it. Goku and Vegeta looked at each other for a moment, breathing heavily, their bodies still vibrating from the energy they had just released. They both knew that while the battle was over, the scars of the confrontation were deep, both within themselves and across the universe. But for now, the danger had passed. The battlefield was finally calm. 6 months have passed since the fierce battle against Cell Max, and over time, Earth had returned to a peaceful calm. The air felt lighter, and peace reigned once again. The scars of the battle, though still present in the memories of those who fought, were no longer as noticeable. Life had continued its course, and with it, the feeling that everything was in its place. Peace. Can it really last? They were all gathered, enjoying the moment. Goku and Chi-Chi, Vegeta and Bulma, Trunks, Goten, Krillin and Roshi, each one laughing, sharing stories, and living the moment with the tranquility that only peace could offer. Frieza joined them, and for an instant, all the weight of the past disappeared. It didn't matter what had happened before, nor the battles that might still come. For that moment, all that mattered was family, friendship, and the peace they had achieved together. The horizon shifted to warm hues, signaling the end of another day. But this one in particular would be remembered as the one where, at last, everyone could breathe easy.